long term.
He says the same could be possible with other common allergens like dairy, wheat, fish, soy, and tree nuts. Your money at this moment, the Dow is up 400 points, almost a full percent, to 46,594. Coming up, we got cool and sunny today. KSL weather's next. KSL News Time, 9:01.
A reminder about the simplest way to get updated for your day.
Hit your KSL preset when you jump in the car, and we'll take care of the rest.
Hear key news updates and traffic reports.
Andy and Amanda from 5 to 9 in your car.
KSL News Radio at 102.7 FM.
Hey, this is Dan, the laptop man from PC Laptops. Imagine struggling with a slow, outdated computer that takes forever to load anything, that randomly freezes up and is filled with viruses and malware. Now picture yourself with a powerful desktop or laptop that runs smoothly and efficiently, making your work and entertainment seamless. Take one home today. The new 2025 S1 desktop or SM3 laptop for only $999. You heard that right, $999. You get a blazing fast processor, 16 gigs of RAM, and over a terabyte of blazing storage for $999. What else do you get? Lifetime service warranty, and we have 12 months special financing on approved credit. Hurry in right now because supplies are limited, because at PC Laptops, we love you. Just check us out at PCLaptops.com. $999, PCLaptops.com.
Help DEA keep our communities safe and healthy by participating in National Prescription Drug Take-Back Day, Saturday, October 25th. Take action right in your own home by cleaning out your medicine cabinet of unneeded medications. Keep them safe, clean them out, take them back. Find a collection site near you at DEATakeback.com. Do your part to lower overdose deaths and prevent prescription drug misuse before it starts. That's DEATakeback.com.
Pros don't just show up. They prove how it's done, with precision and without shortcuts. Makita tools are built the same way, with a dedication to lasting quality, trusted performance, and results that reward your effort year after year. When the job calls for the best, call on Makita. Built to be the best. Available at the Home Depot.
If you have Medicaid and are new to Medicare, you may qualify to enroll in a Humana Medicare Advantage dual-eligible special needs plan with a lot more benefits, like dental, vision, and hearing, along with helpful support when you need it most. Now is the time to see if you qualify to enroll. It only takes a few minutes to find out if you're eligible. Our licensed sales agents are ready to help you understand your options. So this Medicare planning season, we can help you plan well. Learn more at humanaduals.com. Humana, a more human way to healthcare. Humana is a dual-eligible special needs PPO SNP plan with a Medicare contract and a contract with the state Medicaid program. Enrollment in any Humana plan depends on contract renewal.
Traffic and weather together, brought to you by Mountain America. Turn everyday spending into an extraordinary escape. Here's Cormac Bone.
Well, we're still looking at a semi-truck that's been stuck in the right shoulder at 3300 South on northbound I-15. There's still some light delays starting in Murray near 4500 South. And we're still seeing a crash on westbound I-80 in South Salt Lake on the right shoulder just before the exit to State Street. It's causing a little bit of backup on that off-ramp right there at State Street. And slowing on southbound I-215's west belt starting near 700 North. It's slow until you get to I-80 near the airport. Starting November 14th, step into the magic of holiday lights at the ballpark at America First Square. Get tickets at the ballpark at afs.com. Make the season unforgettable. Holiday lights at the ballpark. Cormac Bone in the KSL Traffic Center.
KSL weather, looking at a high today of 56 with mostly sunny skies. Then it warms into the 60s all the way into the weekend, where we don't really have our next chance of rain until about Saturday, and that's next real chance of rain. Right now, though, 46 degrees and sunny in Salt Lake City. I'm Andy Farnsworth from the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Listen online at kslnewsradio.com. We are Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
The all-new Inside Sources. Inside Sources. Your inside access to the people and policies shaping Utah's future. Here are Greg Skordas and Holly Richardson on KSL News Radio.
Thousands of Utah. This is Greg Skordas this morning trying to figure out the microphone issue. I think I've got it down. Thousands of Utahns attended the No Kings rally this past weekend. This fell on the heels of a No Kings rally that occurred in June of this year, Holly, where there was some issues of violence and other problems. This year, nothing seemed to happen problematically, and it was a peaceful, really, it seemed like it was a peaceful rally in every respect.
It wasn't just Utah. So there were an estimated 7 million people in about 2,700 rallies around the country. And in downtown Salt Lake, there were an estimated 3,500 people at one time up by the Capitol, but people came and went over the 2 hours. And then there were additional, I think, 7 different locations across Utah where they held No King rallies.
Yeah, so I was wondering after the first one, where the one of the sponsors had sort of pulled their support of Salt Lake, whether that would make a difference. And I think that there was some concern about the fact that Salt Lake organizers had brought in these peacekeepers, which
in
they were
June.
not for the June rally.
And
so this time the rally was not. I think it was not supported by the prior. One of the organizers of the No Kings rally was not supporting of Salt Lake this time because of what they did. They'd pulled their support.
Right. So there were different organizers this time. But, look, this is what's interesting to me. There was a Pew Research study that was done before this weekend, but they were asking Americans if they thought that President Trump was exerting more power than previous presidents. 69% said yes, they thought he was, right? So the No Kings, really, this movement is to say, look, we're Americans. Some people on the right called it a hate rally. Other people called it a love rally, saying we love the Constitution, we love the United States, and we don't have a king in our country.
Yeah, and that's obviously the impetus behind the No Kings rally, is that they're feeling like organizers are feeling like the current administration has too much authority, too much power, getting too close to being king status, and so the idea is No Kings rally. Now we're looking at some of the televisions today, and Trump has indicated that he's going to take some action, or may take some action against some of the venues that had these, but we'll see where that goes. That would be very difficult. And some people are calling it a left-leaning organization, a leftist rally, that type of thing. There was no violence. Let's face it, there was no violence, and it seemingly, even nationally, and I haven't heard anything from any other jurisdiction besides Utah, it seems like it was a peaceful rally throughout the country.
There were actually multiple police chiefs at different places across the country who specifically made statements thanking people who showed up at these rallies for being peaceful. I think we saw it in Utah, but we saw it across the country. People are wearing these inflatable costumes. They're dancing in the streets. There's unicorns and pink pink dinosaurs. I don't know, but they're showing up and they're like, look, we're here because we love the Constitution. We love the United States of America. And we believe that the Constitution and this country was set up to say that we are not governed by a king. We're not subject to a king.
And these rallies, it just from what we're seeing, were very, very well attended everywhere. Very well attended. And I think there were more than one in Utah. There may have been one down at UVU.
There were 7. There were 7 in Utah. There were multiple in Idaho, right? So even in conservative states, red states, there were these rallies as well, very well attended. I think in Washington, D.C., I think the estimate I saw was 200,000 people turned out for the rally in D.C. But you were right. You mentioned that this comes on the heels of a No Kings rally in June, and that was where we had unfortunately Arthur Alou was shot and killed, and initially police picked up Arturo Gamboa and held him in jail, but it turned out that there was a peacekeeper who showed up and shot 3 times and ended up he was the one that killed Arturo. Yeah. So I wonder if you could talk to us a little bit about what is happening with this legal limbo with Arturo.
Yeah, so I need to disclose at the outset that I have been representing Arturo Gamboa
throughout. So I obviously have that bias going in. He was shot. He spent about a week in jail. He was released on to pretrial services after we filed a motion. And in the interim, he has not been charged with anything. The shooter, the peacekeeper, the person who fired the 3 shots, one of which ultimately killed Arthur Folasa Alu, has not been charged, and to my knowledge has not been identified yet. Now, the district attorney's office are looking at this case because it does present some interesting legal issues. There's a peacekeeper, and I'm sort of playing devil's advocate for the DAs here, who believes something's going on, something's amiss. He fires his gun to try to prevent further injury, and he ends up killing a person who is, by all accounts, entirely 100% innocent.
Right.
Gamboa was also shot in that incident. He was shot through the back, and he was openly carrying a firearm. However, he was apparently perceived by this peacekeeper as sort of being more aggressive, and the peacekeeper felt that he needed to do something, and he shot him and ended up killing an innocent person. Now, the district attorney's office have not filed anything against anyone. The only person that's been in custody was Gamboa. He was booked into jail on murder charges at the time. Of course, nothing's been filed, and we don't know whether something will. The reason it's been sort of brought up is because we had this latest rally, and so
right.
the DA's office is kind of going, hey, people have been contacting them going, what's going on? We almost forgot about this. They're still working on the case, as you'd expect they would.
Well, it's just interesting to me, like, how long are they going to keep this guy in limbo?
Yeah, I mean, that's a tough
Either
decision.
charge or don't charge, right?
Right, and I'd say the same applies for the peacekeeper. I mean, he's obviously sitting on the edge of his seat as well, and kind of what do you end up doing? It's been a very difficult thing for Arturo Gamboa. KSL TV's Daniela Rivera was able to speak with his mother this last week.
Gamboa's mother told me they're living in uncertainty, waiting to know whether charges will be filed.
We are struggling. It's hard day to day.
It's hard, Arturo Gamboa's mother, Elizabeth, says, living in legal limbo.
I'm doing the same thing that everyone else is doing, just wondering when.
Wondering when the Salt Lake County District Attorney's Office will announce a charging decision.
It's always there, always in the forefront of everybody's mind, especially his.
A man identified as a peacekeeper at the June rally opened fire, shooting Arturo and killing bystander Afa Alu. Salt Lake City police arrested Arturo and recommended he be charged with murder based on witness accounts of how he was handling the rifle he was carrying at the rally.
So again, that's something that we'll continue to follow. It seems, to me, it seems unusual that it has drug on for 4 months with no charges.
Yeah, and that sort of speaks for itself. I'll let the DAs do their job as they always do, and hopefully come up with a decision that makes sense for everyone. And we would have expected that by now, but I don't think it's going to take another couple months.
We'll see.
We'll see.
So we're headed into the 4th week of the government shutdown, and Speaker Mike Johnson has told the House to stay home this week. So now what? Cami Mondo from the Deseret News will help break it down for us when we come back after the break.
Tim Jr. here from RGS Exteriors. Did you know that we offer 3 distinct styles of gutter protection? Each one meant to handle a specific leaf problem. You might not even know there are different styles of gutter protection, but there are. And if you pick the wrong one, it could be a huge waste of money. Now, the big gutter guard companies won't tell you this. They try to sell you a one-size-fits-all gutter guard. And it could be completely wrong for the amount and types of trees and leaves you have. Not RGS Exteriors. We understand which kind of leaf problem needs which kind of gutter guard. We'll do an in-depth evaluation to assess the types, locations, and numbers of trees in your yard. Based on that data, we match your home to the right gutter guard. So don't risk wasting money on the wrong gutter protection. For a free evaluation and estimate, call RGS Exteriors at 801-280-3110 or visit rgsexteriors.com. That's 801-280-3110 or rgsexteriors.com.
This is Christian Staples with Arctic Spas. Way back in 1989, I started servicing hot tubs in Park City, and I learned the hard way in the freezing winter in the mountains that hot tubs are not built for Utah's harsh climate. I then found the Arctic Spa, the most northern manufacturer of hot tubs built specifically for the northern climates. Arctic Spas use perimeter insulation similar to your house where the outside walls are insulated. This allows us to utilize the excess heat from the motors to help heat the water and reduce your electric cost each month. Since then, we have sold 10,000 1,000 Arctic spas here in Utah, we've learned that Arctic spas last longer because they are built stronger. You can just feel the difference. Arctic spas are easier to fix because we put access panels all the way around the spa, which makes it less expensive for you. Add this to the lower electric bills each month, and you end up with the least expensive hot tub to own over the long term. Arctic Spas, with stores covering all of Utah in Salt Lake, American Fork, and St. George, or online at arcticspasutah.com. Arctic Spas, the only spa built for Utah's harsh climate.
I have to admit, it drives me nuts when we start talking about Christmas so early in the year, but it is a good time right now for you to make your reservations for the family gathering, for the company party, all kinds of special events during the holidays. Make your reservations right now. It's not too early at Ruth's Chris Steakhouse. What a great way to welcome out-of-town guests, to thank your employees for a great year at your business. Ruth's Chris Steakhouse during the holidays, too, is just magical. The two locations, Hotel Park City, right up there in that beautiful mountain environment, and of course where all the hustle and bustle of the city is happening, 275 Southwest Temple in Salt Lake City. Ruth's Chris Steakhouse for the holidays, and you will get that perfectly prepared steak and so much more at Ruth's Chris Steakhouse.
You're listening to Leaf Filter Radio, and the guru of gutter protection himself, Chris Coonahan, is here to take your most pressing leaf-related questions.
Hey, everybody, Chris here. I understand we have Ron on the line. Ron, where are you calling from?
Uh-oh. Ron, are you calling from a ladder?
Well, I was. I wanted to ask Chris what I need to do to get my gutters ready to have leaf filter installed.
Oh, Ron, you don't have to do anything. A Leaf Filter Trusted Pro will come out and clean out your gutters, realign and seal your gutters, and install Leaf Filter, America's #1 gutter protection system.
So I didn't need to get on this ladder?
Ron, Leaf Filter Trusted Pros are in your neighborhood and ready to help. Just visit leaffilter.com/deal to schedule your free gutter inspection and get up to 30% off.
Thank goodness. What was that site?
To get this special radio offer, go to leaffilter.com/deal for your free gutter inspection today and get up to 30% off. That's leaffilter.com/deal for up to 30% off. leaffilter.com/deal. See representative for warranty details.
Matthew.
Huh? Oh, sorry.
It's okay. I just need you to listen to me.
I know that a lot of times, Mom, it might not seem like I'm listening to you, but I am. I hear you. And what you say really does matter to me.
I mean, let's be honest. No kid likes rules, but I get why we have them. I hear you, and I know it's because you care.
All the talks we've had over the years, including what you've told me about not using alcohol and other drugs, they stick with me. And believe it or not, they really do make a difference, especially at times that matter most.
Hey, want a drink?
No thanks, I'm good. So thank you, Dad, for talking and preparing me for what's ahead.
Thanks, Mom, for never giving up and always being my biggest fan.
Thank you for letting me know what you expect, so I can try to meet your expectations.
Thank you for talking.
For more information about talking with your kids about underage use of alcohol and other drugs, visit underagedrinking.samhsa.gov.
Wasatch Front businesses and property managers. Don't wait for bad weather to schedule professional snow service with GoPave Utah. Your complete parking lot safety starts with GoPaveUtah.com.
The new Inside Sources.
Now, in day 20 of the government shutdown, Speaker Mike Johnson has told the House to stay home. So that doesn't seem to be very promising if he's telling the House to stay home. Of course, it's hung up right now with the Senate, and they need to pass it because the House has already passed their proposal to go forward with a continuing resolution.
Well, there's another vote in the Senate tonight, and it probably will not pass, but we'll see. So there are a few federal workers that are still being paid during this shutdown.
Yeah, and there are some that are still working and not getting paid, and there are some that are not working at all. They're currently furloughed, and we'll know what that's going to mean down the road as well. So it's kind of some government workers are working without pay, some are working with pay, and some are not working. It depends on what your position is,
right,
and whether we were calling them essential employees, but all government employees are essential. So now they're calling them exempt, I think, employees. Here's ABC senior White House correspondent Selena Wang on that.
Some are getting paid, including military troops, DHS agents, as well as FBI agents. The White House has taken unusual measures to ensure they are paid, but so many other essential workers are going to work and not getting paid, including air traffic controllers. I spoke to one who's also a union representative.
And just figuring out, where can I find a zero interest loan, or am I going to have to get a side gig?
The longer this drags on, the more painful it is for Americans, for federal workers, and the bigger hit to our economy.
So we have with us on the line Cami Mondo. She's the Deseret News congressional correspondent. Cami, we know we're just completing the third full week and entering the fourth week. What are you seeing on Capitol Hill?
Yeah, it's definitely feeling a lot like deja vu every single day up here. You have barely any lawmakers, especially on the House side. The Senate will come back in tonight and vote again for the 11th time on the CR. We expect that to fail once again. So it's kind of just, doing the same day in a continuous cycle. But I think this week and hopefully next week is probably where we're going to see some lawmakers actually finally look for an off-ramp now that it kind of looks like we're dug into a place where we're no longer going to find a compromise at this point. You have to find some other way out.
And you'd expect, Cami, that there would be some behind the scenes, and maybe you're not familiar with all of them, meetings going on within the Senate, including maybe some bipartisan meetings to say, hey, how can we get this done? Are we hearing anything about movement that way?
For sure. So at least last week there were some talks going on about, maybe an agreement on doing, Democrats' main demand is extending those Obamacare subsidies. There's some talk about maybe agreeing to a one-year extension just to give more time to negotiate a more permanent solution in exchange for Democrats to reopen the government. That's still in early talks. We've seen, some Democrats that I've talked to say they still don't trust Republicans to uphold their end of any deal. Some Democrats want that permanent extension no matter what. So those talks are still preliminary, but they are definitely going on.
So, Cami, can you help us understand the difference between an off-ramp and a compromise?
Yes. So in my sense of view, a compromise would be somewhere where Democrats agree to something just to pass whatever this CR is, and then we can get that to the president for sign. I think for this off-ramp, we're going to have to do something completely different. We're going to have to bring in new legislation, a new CR perhaps, something that has completely different circumstances that they can both agree to. That, of course, would have to go back to the House. But I think that's something that, our time is running out at this point, that I think we're going to have to do that.
Cami, a week or so ago, we were talking about some events that may be sort of triggering to get the parties together. One being that there was a hint that the military may not be paid. I think that has been overcome and that the military is being paid. But are there other dates or other, sort of problems that would be coming up with respect to people not getting paid that could cause greater concern within the Senate that might give them some impetus to get together and get something done?
I think just as we're seeing more of these furloughs and layoffs happening, some of the bigger talking points the last few days at least is that there have been some furloughs of those government workers who oversee our nuclear capabilities. So a lot of them are actually now being furloughed because they're running out of funding. And that's put a lot of concern in a lot of our national security folks up here on the Hill. So I think that might also have something to do with it. But, the Senate is also going to be looking at some legislation this week, hopefully to try and pay some of these essential workers so that they won't be furloughed. We aren't sure yet if that's going to actually pass, but that is another thing that they're talking about while this shutdown continues.
So one question we get from texters often is this question. Are the congressional representatives and senators, are they being paid during the shutdown?
Yes, so they are still getting paid. There's some weird maneuvers that they would have to do to stop those paychecks. A lot of lawmakers have said they don't want to be paid during the shutdown, but as far as I'm concerned, there's a very complicated way to do that. But as of right now, yes, they are still getting paid.
We are hearing that the Utah Congressman Mike Kennedy has introduced what he's calling No Work, No Pay Act of 2025, legislation that would prohibit members of Congress from receiving their pay during a government shutdown. Do we know anything about where that sits or if it's just talk at this point?
Absolutely. So, yeah, a lot of lawmakers in recent years have also introduced legislation similar to that. But, that would also require the House actually coming in and voting on it. And then it would have to go to the Senate, of course. And so that's kind of stuck in a situation where it is something that a lot of these lawmakers would probably agree to. They're just not here to actually vote on it.
Yeah, that's interesting. I'm also seeing that SNAP benefits, so what we sometimes call food stamps, are going to be impacted by the end of this month. So if the government shutdown continues into November, that those benefits will be cut.
Right, and that's like another, there's so many different moving parts, and a lot of what you're going to see is November 1st is a deadline for a lot of these things. That's also when the whole healthcare open enrollment begins. We're going to see that start to ramp up as well. So, yeah, I think at least for the end of this month, we're still going to be in a shutdown. November 1st might be the date that, lawmakers start actually getting a little bit more serious because of, as you mentioned, the SNAP benefits are going to be at risk as well. So I think we'll at least probably go through the end of this month, but after that, maybe we'll get a little bit more serious conversations going.
So I have one other question. It's not specific to the funding part, but with this shutdown, we know there's an Arizona duly elected representative who's not being sworn in. Can you talk about that briefly?
Absolutely. And so that is Adelita Grijalva, as you said. She won her special election over a month ago at this point. But since then, the next week after her election, they were supposed to be in session. House Speaker Mike Johnson obviously canceled those votes to put the pressure on Senate Democrats to pass the CR, and he's done that every week since then. Clearly, that hasn't done much for Democrats to reopen the government. But Democrats are demanding that she could be sworn in. Anyway, they're saying that they're withholding that because she is going to sign on to that discharge petition to force a vote on releasing Epstein files. Speaker Johnson says that's not the case. He's saying that, you guys need to reopen the government before we swear in somebody. That's just how the process works. But he's even going so far now to change his tune a little bit to say that even though she's not sworn in, she could still work as a representative. He says she could still work with constituents. She can go into her office. So there's a lot of, whether this is just pomp and circumstance is what Johnson is arguing, but Democrats are saying that, now Arizonans actually don't have a representative who is sworn in.
Cammie, I'm looking at a recent poll done by CNN, and we've talked about throughout this entire process sort of who's to blame and what the public thinks is or who is responsible for this. Right, the latest poll numbers that I'm seeing show that 48% of people think Trump is to blame, 45% think Republicans are to blame, and 40% believe Democrats. Obviously, that's more than 100 because a lot of people blame lots of
more
people.
More than one, yeah.
But those numbers seem to be
Right.
staying somewhat the same, Cammie, in that the Republicans are not. Well, you would expect that the Republicans have done a pretty thorough job of trying to get the Democrats to be seen as the blame in this, but the public really thinks all three are to blame.
Right. And I think a lot of that is because, so much of what you need to understand about the shutdown, you don't know necessarily unless you're here and you're seeing it all firsthand. So a lot of these people are only receiving messages from their lawmakers. So obviously those who are represented by Republicans might just be getting the Republican message. But I think that's absolutely right, is that the polling shows that everyone is still really split on this. But Republicans are obviously wanting people to view Democrats as the ones who are at fault. And because that polling does not show that, that's the problem that they're in, is that, Republicans are winning on the policy side more so right now, but Democrats are definitely winning on the political side. And so that's kind of the weird balance that we're trying to see right now.
Thanks, Cammie. That was Cammie Mondo, Deseret News congressional correspondent, with news that there is going to be another vote today, but probably not optimistic about something passing. There was something interesting that happened this morning. There was a major Amazon cloud outage disrupting a number of major online platforms, and the amount of services that went down is a major wake-up call for just how much we rely on the internet. We'll talk about that after the break.
9:30 at KSL News Radio. I'm Andy Farnsworth. KSL's top local story this hour: water conservation groups are pushing for cities to adopt stricter water policies as many parts of the state are still in drought. KSL News Radio's Brianna Willis reports.
Water managers with Utah Waterways are asking cities to start implementing ordinances for water conservation. The Great Salt Lake Collaborative reports after a few years of decreased water usage, in this last year, people are using 10 to 15% more water. South Jordan has no access to groundwater and is exploring an option to filter wastewater into usable drinking water. They've also started incentivizing residents to plant more water-wise landscapes. Brianna Willis, KSL News Radio.
Our top national story this hour from ABC News. President Donald Trump says he's ready to stop all aid the U.S. sends to Colombia. Colombia's President Gustavo Petro says the White House killed an innocent fisherman in one of its boat strikes on suspected drug-running boats. President Trump told reporters on Air Force One Colombia's president is allowing the drug trade to flourish.
Colombia is out of control, and now they have the worst president they've ever had. He's a lunatic who's got a lot of problems, mental problems.
The two leaders have clashed on issues ranging from migration to drug trafficking. And the president says the United States could purchase Argentinian beef in an attempt to bring down prices for Americans. Mr. Trump promised earlier this week to address the issue as part of his efforts to keep inflation in check. U.S. beef prices have been high for a variety of reasons, including drought on rangeland and reduced imports from Mexico due to disease in cattle herds there. Your money at this moment, the Dow's up 387 points to 46,577. Coming up, it's going to be mild during the day today, then get chilly at night. KSL weather's next. KSL News Time, 9:31.
The sources where we get our news matters.
When you listen to Utah's Morning News, we want you to feel the stories are important to you and trustworthy. This is Amanda Dixon.
And I'm Andy Farnsworth. Join us weekday mornings on KSL News Radio.
And sometimes a deal is so good that they decide to extend it because they want more people to have an opportunity. That's what Bedrock Quartz is doing with their employee pricing deal.
They are extending it through the month of October, so you pay what an employee would pay, and you can get your new kitchen, or your new bathroom done before the holidays.
The only limit is your imagination. They have over 100 different options for countertops, including quartz, quartzite, granite, marble. They can do bathrooms. What can't they do? They do backsplashes.
And their attention to detail is extraordinary. Andy and I went to their facility in West Jordan where they cut the marble and the quartz, and just to see how meticulous they were with cutting that stone, not to mention the installation process.
Yeah, they do 35 kitchens every day, so they're experienced, they're proficient, and they'll work with you. Whatever you want, they can take care of.
They've got showrooms all over the place in West Jordan, Layton, Murray, Park City, Sandy, Pleasant Grove, Spanish Fork, St. George, and Salt Lake City, but
you can also go to bedrockquartz.com.
There's no place like home, but home ownership is slipping away in Utah, and young Utahns are being priced out of their own communities. The U.S. economy is built on the idea that 30% of your income should go towards housing. But in Utah, families are spending nearly 66% just to keep a roof overhead. On top of that, the average homeowner in Utah has nearly $400,000 in net worth. For renters, it's barely $10,000. And with Utah already on track to be short more than 153,000 homes by 2030, that gap is only growing. Every community in Utah plays a part in finding solutions. More homes mean more opportunity for teachers, nurses, police officers, and every family that makes Utah what it is. Learn more about Utah's housing shortage and what we can do to begin to fix it at demandmoresupply.com. That's demandmoresupply.com. And when you sign up, you'll be entered to win tickets to a special pre-screening of Wicked. Visit demandmoresupply.com. Together, we can keep Utah families close.
Traffic and weather together brought to you by Mountain America. Turn everyday spending into an extraordinary escape. Here's Heather Kelly.
We've got nearly stopped traffic on the 201 freeway. This is eastbound from the west side belt almost over to the 900 West exit. It's due to a crash that had been blocking 2 lanes of the freeway. Now it looks like they just got all these vehicles moved over to the right shoulder just after you get on from Redwood Road. But you still have the delays in place until everybody sorts themselves out. Everything else looking pretty good right now. I-15 at good speeds, both directions, getting into downtown Salt Lake, and no problems coming out of Tooele County this morning. Prep for winter. Get a furnace inspection from a certified heating contractor to check for safety and efficiency. A reminder from Enbridge Gas. Heather Kelly in the KSL Traffic Center.
KSL weather, mostly sunny skies for the next few days, with highs warming from 56 today. The mid-60s by Wednesday. Nights, though, a little chilly, upper 30s and lower 40s. Right now it's 48 degrees and sunny in Salt Lake. I'm Andy Farnsworth from the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Listen online at kslnewsradio.com. We're Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
The all-new Inside Sources. Your inside access to the people and policies shaping Utah's future. Here are Greg Skordas and Holly Richardson on KSL News Radio.
So apparently this morning, Amazon Web Services had a major outage, and that is that and you'll have to explain this to me, the cloud went out. There was a dark lining around the cloud or something.
That's right.
So let me ask you, there were a number of apps that went down for several times this morning. I've never heard of some of these, but you probably have. Let me ask you if you're affected by any of these.
Okay.
If you have these. Amazon?
Yes.
Disney Plus?
Yes.
Lyft?
Yes.
McDonald's?
No.
New York Times?
Yes.
Reddit?
Yes.
Ring?
No.
Robinhood?
No, but my kids do.
Snapchat?
Also, no, but my kids do.
T-Mobile?
Yes.
United Airlines?
Yes.
Venmo?
Yes.
And Verizon?
No.
Good heavens, I'm on 2. You have like 10. Well, anyway, I don't know where they are, whether it's been moved back up again, but a lot of people appreciate just how much we all suffer when something like this occurs.
We just rely on the internet, and and I didn't notice it because I was sleeping, but we have Mike Dubusky, the ABC technology reporter, on the line with us to talk to us about the outage. What's the status, Mike?
Yeah, so we fixed things and then things started to break again is basically where we started here. So to reverse back to overnight, around 1 a.m. Salt Lake City time, there was this major outage at AWS, Amazon Web Services. They are a cloud computing provider, meaning that Lyft, McDonald's, TD Bank, a lot of companies from around the world basically outsource their computers to AWS. If they need to run very compute-intensive tasks, if they need to do online banking or online ordering, they don't necessarily need to have the computers themselves to do that. They can basically, offload all that work to one of these cloud computing providers. That is the service that AWS provides. However, overnight, there was an outage that happened, some sort of disruption in their service. As you mentioned, a number of very popular apps and websites went offline. WhatsApp, Venmo, Hulu, DoorDash, Snapchat, and McDonald's among them, including Amazon's own website as well, and the websites that are related to some of their services like Ring doorbells. Now, experts say this does not appear to be a cyber attack. They have traced this problem back to a data center in Northern Virginia that was experiencing some disruption, so doesn't appear that this was a nefarious act by any stretch. About 2 hours after the initial reports, AWS said that the issue had been fully mitigated and that most of the affected services were back up and running. So this was a pretty small affair, at least at first. You guys mentioned that this happened overnight, so a lot of Americans were asleep when this was happening. They might not have noticed that things were down. We also heard from many services in the UK, including the website that handles the tax servicing for the UK government. That went down as well. So it was a little bit more evident in Europe, which is obviously a little bit ahead of us. Now, however, according to Down Detector, which is a crowdsourced website that reports outages across the internet, it does seem like we're seeing another spike. This could be a new problem. According to Amazon, they are looking into it, but they don't have many firm details on what exactly led to this. It could also be people just discovering outages as they arrive at work. So that is another thing to weigh here.
Yeah, so Mike, and I think you covered this, but anytime something like this occurs, we immediately start thinking cyber attacks. It's the Russians, it's the North Koreans, it's the Chinese. You're saying that what we know so far is that this was none of the above. This is just something bad just happened.
Yeah, this seems to be like a glitch, right? In the same way that occasionally you'll come across a typo in a major newspaper, there are problems in code, right? These are really complex systems that Amazon and others run, and mistakes will get made, whether that's intentional, whether there is a problem that arises that the engineers here could not have foreseen, remains to be figured out. To delve a little bit more deeply into the technical aspects of this, it seems like the initial outage was tied to this technology known as DynamoDB. This is a database service, and the nature of the problem had to do with a domain name service. And I know this is very technical, but stick with me. This is what translates web addresses that you type into a browser into an IP address. So instead of figuring out specifically what computer that you're trying to access when you're just trying to log into Facebook, you can type in facebook.com and it will take you where you need to go. So it's a really robust service. It underpins a lot of the internet. It seems like that translator, the thing that takes facebook.com and translates it into a thing that a computer can understand, it seems like that's where the problem lies here. A few hours later, and this seems to be the nature of the latest sort of reports of outages, Amazon also said they were experiencing API issues. This is a computer service that ties websites together. For example, if you're a restaurant and you have a website, but you also want to include where your restaurant is on Google Maps, for example, well, you need the API of Google Maps in order to do that. Seems like there might be some issues there as well. Again, this this is an evolving situation, so a lot of this is left to be figured out. But guys, I think a really important thing to say here is that this is not unusual, right? In July of 2024, there was a huge outage that traced back to CrowdStrike, which was a cybersecurity firm. They pushed a faulty update that knocked a lot of Microsoft computers offline. This resulted in huge, delays at airports and flight cancellations and so on and so forth. We here at ABC were affected by that outage. AWS itself has had outages in 2023 and in 2021 and in 2020. Microsoft and Google, which also play a big role in the cloud computing space, have had their own incidents in addition to this. Amazon's stock price today was largely unaffected by this outage, which indicates that investors were really not riled up by this outage at all. And I think that kind of underscores that while frustrating, these outages have become pretty normal.
So another question for you. Are there, as I understand it, there are redundancies built into the cloud. And so even though there is this outage, it's not like the entire company website is going to not be able to be restored.
Yeah, that's right. I actually had the opportunity to visit a data center like the one that Amazon runs in Northern Virginia. They have many, of course, but that seems to be the one that was affected here. The one that I visited was interesting, right? This had, huge, racks of computers all owned by various companies, all owned by various clients. And the function of the data center company was to constantly supply those computers with power, right? What you do with those computers is up to you as the client, but from the data center's perspective, we need uninterrupted power at all times. Well, what happens if, for example, 10 years ago, Hurricane Sandy blows into town and it knocks your computers offline, there's flooding? Well, there are a number of generators that surround these data centers that are there to kick in at a moment's notice and continue that supply of power for days. Presumably, Amazon has a similar setup at their location, indicating that this was not, a natural disaster or anything like that. This seems to, again, be sort of a technical issue. There are redundancies baked into all of these, but no system is perfect, and I think that we're really feeling the effects of that today.
We're speaking this morning with Mike Dubusky, ABC technology reporter, about the outage at Amazon. Do you suppose, Mike, that there will be some changes in place here, or is this one of those things happen and maybe it's kind of a one-off and no harm, no foul, or do you think there's going to be some major changes in the way that these systems operate?
It's a really good question. I think, we'll have to see how the rest of the day progresses. If this was just a 2-hour outage overnight, I think that we could kind of, open and close the book on this pretty quickly. Now it does seem like this is an ongoing issue for Amazon, so we'll have to wait and see whether they make any structural changes, whether we hear any more detail about kind of what the nature of this problem was. But I do think that this underscores a really important thing about cloud computing that's going on right now that is gaining attention and always kind of comes into the conversation when we have an outage like this, whether it be Amazon or one of their competitors. Amazon and AWS are the largest cloud providers in the game. They account for about a third of the market. AWS also accounts for about 60% of Amazon's operating profit. They are, sure, an online retailer, but they are predominantly a cloud computing provider. And while there are other players in the market, Microsoft and Google among them, the market is consolidated around only a handful of different companies. And that means when one of these services goes down, it knocks off a huge part of the internet, meaning that people who are critics of this say that we should diversify our cloud computing storage in a much more fundamental way to prevent from these, larger scale impacts.
Thank you so much for joining us. We've been speaking with Mike Dubusky, ABC technology reporter. And look, there's another story I want to talk about. It's being called brazen, stunning, and embarrassing. But thieves broke into the Louvre over the weekend during daytime hours and stole priceless jewelry from the Napoleonic era. That's coming up next, and we're streaming live at KSLNewsRadio.com and on the app for KSL News Radio, sponsored by At Your Service Pros. Stay with us.
For over 75 years, Duke's Jewelers has been part of Utah Valley's story. Founded in 1948 by J. Melvin Duke, the Duke family has been helping yours celebrate life's biggest moments, generation after generation. Duke's is more than just a jewelry store. They're craftsmen. From repairing a treasured family heirloom to designing the custom engagement ring of your dreams, their expertise is trusted because it's been earned through decades of care, skill, and tradition. When you walk through the doors of Duke's Jewelry, you're not just a customer. you're part of the Dukes family. Because at Dukes, jewelry isn't just about sparkle. It's about legacy, memory, and love. Discover the difference of a family-owned jeweler where heritage meets craftsmanship. Dukes Jewelers, 220 South Main in Springville, or online at dukesjewelers.com. Dukes Jewelers, celebrating love, tradition, and community since 1948.
You've got your whole life ahead of you, so choose a Medicare plan you can count on. And that's what you get with a Medicare Advantage plan from United Healthcare. With more than 45 years' experience serving its members, United Healthcare has plans with low monthly premiums that fit your life today and as your needs change tomorrow. The Medicare annual enrollment period ends December 7th, so go to uhc.com/Medicare today. United Healthcare Medicare plans. It's Medicare coverage Utah can count on.
Hi, this is Doug Wright. The other night, I had the chance to see a brand new play at Hale Center Theater, and it's the musical comedy Murders of 1940. And I'm just going to read what I wrote to Sally Dietlein right after I got out to my truck. I just had to let her know how much I enjoyed it, and I said, a black and white screwball film noir comedy complete with Nazis, you have outdone yourself. This is so unique. The entire play, save only one character, is in black and white. Sally wrote back and said, yeah, I think it's the first time we've ever done, and she used this term, grayscape. It is so unique. You are going to love it. And then just down the hall, Sister Act is showing, and all kinds of wonderful performances still to come, like Frozen. We've already got our tickets for our grandkids. Go to hct.org or get your tickets at the box office. And don't forget, get your 2026 season tickets.
This message comes from Viking, committed to exploring the world in comfort. Journey through the heart of Europe on an elegant Viking longship with thoughtful service, destination-focused dining, and cultural enrichment on board and on shore. With small ships that bring travelers closer to the destination, there's more time to explore. And every Viking voyage is all-inclusive, with no children and no casinos. Discover more at Viking.com.
Okay, I have to tell you, I was just looking on eBay where I go for all kinds of things I love, and there it was.
That hologram trading card. One of the rarest, the last one I needed for my set. Shiny like the
designer handbag of my dreams. One of a kind. eBay had it, and now everyone's asking, ooh, where'd you get your
windshield wipers? eBay has all the parts that fit my car. No more annoying, just beautiful.
Millions of finds, each with a story. eBay. Things people love.
Hi, this is Christina Ricci with RAIN. Every 2 minutes, another American is sexually assaulted. If you or someone you know has been sexually assaulted, you are not alone. Help is just a call or click away through the National Sexual Assault Hotline. Please call 1-800-656-HOPE, that's HOPE, or visit RAIN.org, that's RAINN.org.
Brought to you by Rain and this station.
What's up, everybody? I'm Mike Wilson with Any Hour Services, and there's a good chance you've heard me talking about our free furnace sale. The one where you buy a new air conditioner and we give you a new furnace for just the cost to install it. About $400. Well, we still have a few more spots on our schedule we need to fill, so I'm extending the sale, but I'm not quite sure for how much longer. Definitely no later than the end of October. And once I think our schedule's full enough, I gotta pull these ads. So don't wait too long to call and schedule your free estimate. The main reason we do this sale is to give you an incentive to help us keep our guys busy when the weather's mild. And thanks to your help, we're able to keep our guys and keep growing. So if your furnace and air conditioner are ready to be replaced, you owe it to yourself to at least schedule a free estimate and get all the details about our free furnace sale. Just to recap, when you have Any Hour Services install a new air conditioner, we'll give you a new furnace for just the cost to install it. About $400. The furnace is free, you just pay the labor. If you think you might be interested, call Any Hour Services at 801-443-7400. You can Google Any Hour Services. You can even schedule online at anyhourservices.com. No one helps more homeowners than Any Hour Services.
Inside Sources.
So, Holly, George Clooney is currently working on Ocean's 14. He expects, seriously, he's expected to come out in the mid-2026, but I think he can speed that up because I think it's somewhat been written for him already.
Isn't this story wild?
It is.
Yeah. So, over the weekend, the Louvre, it was open. This is one of the things that makes this heist so brazen.
Right.
So over the weekend,
hiding
it was
in
open.
plain view, right.
People were there. In fact, there's some video of the heist itself, right? People were actually in the gallery where they were doing this. So these people disguised themselves as construction workers, and in 7 minutes broke in, got a bunch of jewels, and took off.
Here's ABC's James Longman in Paris.
Police say the masked robbers drove up to the side of the museum in a truck mounted with a ladder described as a mobile freight elevator. Police say the lift was extended up to a second-floor window, which the thieves broke open using an angle grinder, a handheld power tool used for metalwork. From there, they're alleged to have threatened security guards before ransacking the Apollo Gallery, where Napoleon III's crown jewels were on display. Police say they tried to set fire to the lift they used before they fled. The raid lasted all of 7 minutes before they escaped on scooters.
So it's just so interesting, right? So I had to look up what they stole, and there's no, I wasn't able to find an actual dollar amount. All I could find was they were priceless and irreplaceable. But they did say that they took some of the crown jewels, really, but they left the biggest crown there. So what they took were necklaces. They took, and these things are like just gorgeous and so many gems. But they had these necklaces, they had earrings, a couple of tiaras, actually. And so, I mean, I laugh, but it's like the Louvre should be like one of the most secure museums, I think, in the world. And yet, in 7 minutes, people were able to get in, and the only weapon that they had was an angle grinder.
Yeah, and it's sort of genius the way they did it. They have a truck, a mobile freight elevator, and so they're there to fix the elevator. Of course, everyone's just like, whatever.
It's from the outside, right?
I'm sure somebody was wondering, is our elevator even broken? But anyway, they're there servicing it. They're getting in. Then they get a grinder, and like you say, the angle grinder, it sounds like it was one of those Dremel-type tools or something like that, breaking in, and they get in and just take all this stuff. They're there for all of 7 minutes.
Yeah.
And then they try to set fire to the lift they used. I guess
work.
to sort of, I don't know why they would do that. And then they escape on scooters. Like,
I know.
Whoa, like scooters. Right. Maybe that's a easy, fast way. I mean, you can certainly get through things. And
well, look, it was planned. So back to the George Clooney and the Oceans series, they plan it meticulously, right? And I think this one was planned. There's no arrest made yet.
You cannot replace them. They are so important for French history.
Oh, I mean, it's a huge thing, and no arrests have yet. They say that they were disguised as construction workers, as I indicated. I think that the Louvre's going to open again today or maybe tomorrow. I think there's a day off, but I mean, this is history. And we talked earlier about some people had indicated that they were trying to get these items back as soon as possible so that the thieves didn't melt them down
and break them up. Yeah.
But to me, that would they'd be. I mean, if you've got a let's say a tiara or something that was worn in the Napoleonic era, that'd be worth a lot of money. But if you took the silver or the gold from the tiara and melted it down, it wouldn't be worth a fraction of what it is in its pristine state. So the gold value, the diamond value is significant. I'm sure it's worth a lot. But if you look at the jewels for what they are and as they're manufactured and sort of around for hundreds of years, they're worth a fortune.
Yeah, I wanted to talk about some of the other famous heists in history. So if you remember, the Mona Lisa, actually very famous. It's got its own display in the Louvre, and it was stolen in 1911. It disappeared from its frame. So a former worker hid inside the museum and then cut it out of its frame. It was recovered 2 years later in Florence. There was also a heist in the U.S. It was Boston's Isabella Stewart Gardner Museum. 13 works were taken, and 35 years later, still don't know. They still haven't solved it.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
The thing about taking something before you get to the next one that is so unique, the crown jewels is you can't put them on KSL. I mean, you know what I mean?
Right. KSL.com. That is right. That is right. There's a limited market.
These.
There's a limited market.
It's not like gold coins or, something like that that's indistinguishable from one to the next. And so, I mean, they have tremendous value, but they have zero street value except for their melded down value, which I hope these things aren't that desperate.
So here's one. I thought it was funny. I mean, again, it's not funny when you go steal artwork, but there was a thief who swiped a golden toilet. Do you remember that? It was taken out of the mansion where Winston Churchill was born. So literally pried a toilet off its plumbing and took it in 2019. So they were able to get the toilet off within 5 minutes and left, of course, a flood in its wake. But the thief who swiped it was convicted earlier this year. But that was like 6 years. It took 6 years for that.
So you're just reading between the lines on this one, and all Ocean's 14 aside, this was probably somewhat of an inside job. I mean, somebody knew what they were doing. Somebody knew where to go in, how to get in, where the jewels were stored, and I mean, there was some significant planning here, and that's always going to be the first place police are going to go, which is, okay, who works here, who's worked here recently. Let's go through the entire employee list for the last 3 or 4 years and find out who's worked here and understands where things are and how to get into certain rooms.
Yeah, it was one of the news stories I glanced at this morning said that they chose a hallway where there wasn't CCTV, which is that, the security cameras. Like, again, why is there not security cameras everywhere in the Louvre? I mean, that thing is gigantic. I get it, but holy cow.
I thought you said that some of it was videotaped.
Yeah, by people there. By people there. So because they did it in daylight, the museum was open. There were tourists in the museum. And, of course, we all have our phones out. We're filming. And they were caught on camera, people's video cameras, as they're in the museum.
Well, I hope that they caught some faces. I mean, you wouldn't expect your elevator repair crew to wear masks. But, I mean, maybe they had something on the disguise there looked like the
I don't know the details about that. And again, this was a story that it struck me over the weekend that this very rapid heist. So it was 7 minutes from start to finish, but actually getting the jewels was 4 minutes. Cutting it, they dropped a couple of things on the way out, and I guess it was, again, a snatch and grab, right? They got in, got out, and right now they have not been tracked down. But, of course, everybody's on the case.
Yeah, and where's Clouseau when we need him? I mean, this is big in the sense that the value of this is, you can't measure it. There's no value.
Right.
And the planning of it, it's interesting. This probably will be some sort of a made-for-TV movie or something someday to figure out what happened here and to try to recreate it.
This is a little bit of information. This is from a CBS News story. And they say in January, President Macron in France announced a decade-long modernizing plan for the Louvre. It's 700 million euros about. They were going to give the Mona Lisa, again, its own space by 2031. But on this floor where they stole the jewels, they hadn't upgraded yet.
Yeah, well, we need to do some upgrading now, just like Amazon's cloud. I mean, every once in a while, it just takes something like this to go, hey, wait a minute. And you're right. Why aren't there more security cameras around? These thieves must have understood, had a good idea what was going on in there, what was they were going to have to be aware of in terms of security cameras and whatnot.
For sure. People are calling it a professional hit. And, I've been to the museum several times. It can attract up to 30,000 people a day. I mean, it is very, very busy, very, very popular, lots of people. And I remember the last time I went through it, which is a few years back, but there were like metal detectors you had to go through. I mean, so there's all of that, which is one of the reasons I think they came in from the outside.
And I think another reason why they did it during regular hours, because there probably isn't as much security when you've got public there, because you don't have to worry about it. I think it's at nighttime that they've got the cameras and everything rolling. Anyway, that'll be interesting to follow and see what happens there. Hopefully those are recovered. Do you remember George Santos?
Yes.
The former Republican congressman who went to prison, I think, for 8 years for fraud and identity theft? President Trump just commuted his sentence and ordered his release. We'll talk about that after this.
10 o'clock at KSL News Radio. I'm Andy Farnsworth. KSL's top story this hour. One person is dead and another is in jail after shots were fired in Ogden on Saturday. And police say both the suspect and the victim are under the age of 18. This happened in the area of 35th Street and Jackson Avenue. Police say they found and arrested the suspect out of Syracuse later the same day. This comes not even 2 weeks after 16-year-old Mason Caballero died after being shot near Ben Lomond High School. A 16-year-old was arrested in that case. Classes at Salt Lake Community College's Lifetime Activities Center in Taylorsville have been relocated because of a water line break that caused significant damage. Students are being told to check their Canvas accounts to find out where classes will be held. Our top national story this hour from ABC News. Forget inflation and job insecurity. Americans still want to celebrate Halloween.
The National Retail Federation says that on average, Americans will spend $114 per person for Halloween candy, decorations, and costumes. $1.4 billion will be spent collectively for kids' costumes, another $2 billion for adults. And the NRF says Americans will spend $860 million to dress up their pets.
ABC's Jim Ryan reporting. Your money at this moment, the Dow up 355 points this morning to 46,545. Coming up, we dry out for most of the week. Not the weekend, we'll see. KSL weather's next. KSL News Time, 10:01.
KSL FM Midvale.
KSL Salt Lake City.
From the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios, this is KSL News Radio.
Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
Mornings are for recharging.
And they're for starting your day right.
We volunteer to join you in the car. Get news and weather at 102.7 FM during the most important part of your day.
Andy and Amanda, each morning between 5 and 9 on KSL News Radio.
I'm back to doing what I love and more. Thanks to the Good Feet store.
Do you want to walk, play pickleball, and enjoy other fun activities to stay healthy, but can't because you're in pain? Hi, this is Mike, and the Good Feet store wants to help you get out of pain.
I just had difficulty walking when I had the pain. I tried them on in the store, and my foot felt so much better.
Are you buying new shoes and inserts with little or no relief?
I tried all kinds of shoes. It was the arch supports that made the difference from the Good Feet store.
Don't let foot, knee, or back pain get in the way of you staying healthy and having fun.
Thanks to the Good Feet store, I'm bowling 3 nights a week, pain-free.
Get back to doing what you love. At the Good Feet store, we'll personally fit you with high-quality arch supports to maximize your comfort. Stop in the Good Feet store or book your free fitting at goodfeet.com. Walk-ins are always welcome. Make this the year you get active and healthy.
Thanks to the Good Feet store.
Friday, join KSL News Radio and NPS from 10 to 1 as the movie show stops by. Then browse and uncover what makes NPS so great. With 4 locations, NPS takes in new inventory every day. Then they check all competitors' retail pricing before marking items down 20 to 70% off. So you're invited to visit the movie show Friday 10 to 1. And that's the first step to discovering NPS. Visit npsstore.com to begin your own NPS adventure. npsstore.com.
I want more from my checking account. That's why I have Dream Rewards checking from Cyprus Credit Union. I earn points for making everyday purchases, paying my loans, even building my savings. Those points get me awesome rewards like cash back, gift cards, travel, and more. I'm making my everyday spending work for me. Learn more at cypruscu.com.
Cyprus Credit Union, your future is our future.
Insured by NCUA.
Hi, this is Doug Ryden. For years, I've been telling you about products I truly believe in and that we use in our home. And one is Kinetico. We all know the downsides of hard water, tough on home appliances, frustrating spots on shower doors, but it also affects your personality. When you shower, does the water feel invigorating? Hard water can leave your skin feeling sticky and itchy. A Kinetico soft water system changes everything. It's like having a luxurious spa experience when you shower, making your daily routine something you look forward to. Kinetico, it's a difference you can feel. Their patented system uses far less salt than competitors, and they're exclusively focused on water softeners. They're the experts in their field, and they'll show you the difference for free with no obligation to buy. Call Kinetico Quality Water Systems of Salt Lake, an authorized independent dealer, at 801-576-8600, or check them out online at softwaterutah.com. Start enjoying your water. Spoil yourself every day.
Traffic and weather together brought to you by Mountain America. Turn everyday spending into an extraordinary escape. Here's Heather Kelly.
Well, the earlier slowing we had on the 201 freeway eastbound approaching 900 West exit is gone due to a crash that has now cleared. But now we've got some delays on the west side belt. This is I-215 northbound between California Avenue and the airport exit, I-80, or going over to Redwood Road. Looks like they have some extra crews on board in the construction zone there, and that's slowing people down just a touch as you go past. Otherwise, you're going to have a nice commute if you're pretty much anywhere else along the Wasatch Front. Traffic's rough, but your parking doesn't have to be. GoPave Utah keeps things smooth with expert asphalt maintenance at gopavutah.com. That's gopavutah.com. Heather Kelly in the KSL Traffic Center.
KSL weather today, 55, looking for a high and mostly sunny. Then we warm up a bit each day till we get to 67 by Friday. But on the weekend, a storm moves in, bringing rain Saturday and Sunday. Right now, it's sunny and 50 degrees from the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Listen online at kslnewsradio.com. We're Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
The all-new Inside Sources. Your inside access to the people and policies shaping Utah's future. Here are Greg Skordas and Holly Richardson on KSL News Radio.
I have to admit, Holly, this one came right out of the blue for me. I hadn't expected this, and I was frankly surprised by it. But do you remember Republican Congressman from New York, George Santos?
Yep.
He was the brunt of so many jokes about his fraud and his inability to tell the truth. He had made so many misrepresentations about his background, about his family, about his education, his former employers, and so many things that he left Congress, and I think more Republicans are upset about what we're about to talk about than Democrats. But Donald Trump has now commuted his sentence. He was sentenced to serve 7 years in prison for wire fraud and identity theft. I don't think he went to trial. I think he pled guilty, but I don't recall exactly. But at any rate, he entered those pleas either because a jury found him guilty or he did it on his own. Sentenced to prison. He served 3 months now, and President Trump has commuted that sentence. And, I mean, I don't know why. We can discuss that, but I think that it's something that it doesn't make sense on a lot of levels.
Well, so we have ABC's Rachel Scott to give us just a little bit more.
A congressional investigation found that he even used campaign funds on Botox, designer goods. The president commuting his sentence, when he announced this on social media, he provided some sort of reasoning for this, saying at least Santos had the courage, conviction, and intelligence to always vote Republican.
So I think that answers why President Trump did this, right, is because he always voted Republican. So I have a couple of questions. Well, first of all, let's talk a little bit about some of the reactions. So he was there are GOP reps from New York who are saying, look, this is just he's a convicted con artist. Representative Nicole, Maliotakis, sorry, Nicole, that this will be forever his legacy and disagrees with the commutation. He said, if you remember, one of the things he was accused of was raising funds that never made it to where they were supposed to go. So there was a man in his district who had a dog that needed help. And so Representative Santos did a fundraising campaign for him to save this dog, but the money never made it to the dog, and the dog died. And this gentleman told the New York Times he felt like it was just a kick in the gut.
What was always surprising to me about Santos is, given the level of scrutiny that candidates have, especially candidates for national office, a congressman running in a big state like New York or even Salt Lake. I mean, when we see our congressional races here, we see people going into the finances and the background and information of their opponents.
Lots of details.
Pretty deep dive. How he got away with so much. His opponent in that election that Santos won, his Democratic opponent must have done no homework at all. He was asleep at the wheel because there was so much fraud and it was so blatant that it would have seemingly been easy to discover.
Well, so he stole millions, he said, defrauded an election. And this is Representative Nick LaLota, who's also a Republican in New York. He said that the former congressman's crimes warranted more than a 3-month term, and said because he stole millions and defrauded, he should spend the rest of his life demonstrating remorse and making restitutions to those he wronged. But you know what? Part of this commutation, he doesn't have to pay anybody back.
Yeah, so commutation is an interesting word that we don't talk about very much. And we have recently, in respect to several inmates who are on death row around the country and have other significant sentences going on. But a commutation is not a pardon.
Okay.
It's not an expungement. It doesn't mean the crime didn't occur and you're forgiven. Commutation is limited to the sentence itself. So the conviction for Santos will still exist. So he's not voting Republican anymore because he probably can't vote. He's a convicted felon, and it depends on how different states and different parts of the country view that. But so his conviction stands. Importantly, or interestingly, I guess Trump didn't pardon him. He commuted the sentence, which simply means whatever you've served, it's time served. You're done. You don't have to serve any more of your sentence. Okay, so he gets 3 months out of a 7-year sentence. That's significant. But what is even more significant is that if once you commute the sentence, you commute other portions of the sentence, all of them, which included restitution. So he isn't, part of his sentence was to pay restitution. That's been commuted. I think, and I'd have to dig into this a little deeper, I don't think he's required to pay restitution anymore because that was part of his sentence, and the sentence doesn't exist.
Wow, that's interesting.
So I think the president commuted his. When you commute a sentence, I think you commute
everything,
of it. So
all of it.
I'd be interesting to find out, but maybe he'll do the right thing anyway and pay back some of these people. But we're talking hundreds of thousands of dollars in donations.
It's millions.
And he was ordered to pay that as a condition of his sentence. He wasn't going to serve 7 or 8 years anyway. He was in a federal penitentiary, and we know that, at least I know because I do a lot of federal work, that a person typically serves about 85% of their sentence. So if he got a 7-year sentence, he was going to serve, 5.9 years. I don't know what the exact
Well, he served 3 months.
But he served 3 months.
Look, this is one of the things, and I'm sorry, Mr. Santos, but I have a hard time believing anything you say right now. But he said his 3 months in prison has opened his eyes, and now he wants to spend his time reforming the prison system.
Well, let's hope that he does. I mean, let's hope that 3 months did something to him. And I'll tell you this from a lot of people I know that go to prison, that sometimes you learn as much in 3 months as you do in 5 years. I mean, once you see and smell and sort of experience the prison environment, you know what it's like. And at some point it becomes warehousing. So 3 months is not a lot, but I'm sure that George Santos knows what a prison is like. And maybe he's true to his word for the first time in his life. And he'll do something that is helping people understand prison reform, and maybe he's got some ideas what to do there. He's not running for office again, I'm sure.
Right, and he said he's not going to, but I don't think he can because he's now a convicted felon, so he can't really run for office, can he?
Well,
he can't vote, but maybe I don't know.
Right.
I don't think he can run for office. So anyway, prison reform, he has not specified what he thinks that should look like. If you remember, too, before he was sentenced to go to prison, he was actually expelled from the U.S. House with 311 members of the U.S. House voting to expel him from their body. So that happened before he actually went to prison.
And I would think that Republican lawmakers would be as offended by this as anybody.
There
because
are
it's
a
one of
number
their
of
own.
Republicans.
And they when your own does something like this, you take it more seriously because let's face it, I mean, and we've certainly had our share of Democratic lawmakers who've done some mindlessly dumb things as well, bribes and things like that. And you make your party look bad, the party's going to do something to make sure that you're not part of it anymore.
Arthur Brooks was in town recently, and he said, he quoted someone else as saying, it doesn't take courage to stand up to your quote-unquote enemies. It takes courage to stand up or call out your friends.
Yeah.
So we'll see. Anyway, Santos is out of prison, and he says he's a changed man.
And did you say he heard about this from reading about it?
He heard about it on prison TV. He wasn't even in the room. So one of the news articles, I'm sorry, I don't remember which one, said he was not in the room, and fellow inmates ran to get him and said, "Hey, come here and look at this. You're on the news."
Your sentence has been commuted. You're going home this evening.
Nobody even told him.
Pack up your bags.
So there you go. Okay, politics and dating. Wow. I'm glad I'm not in the dating world, but different political beliefs are now becoming non-starters in the dating world. That's coming up next. We're streaming live at KSLNewsRadio.com and on the app for KSL News Radio, sponsored by At Your Service Pros.
You gave years, maybe decades to your job. You showed up, worked hard, and planned for retirement. But now, the company's changed. Or maybe you've taken a buyout or been forced into early retirement. So, what happens next? I'm Jeff Jr., founder of Trajan Wealth. And if you've built up a 401k or thrift savings plan, now is the time to ask, is that money really working for you? Many workplace retirement plans offer limited options and even less guidance. At Trajan Wealth, we help people just like you roll over their accounts into IRAs with more flexibility and personalized investment strategies built around your goals. For households with $500,000 or more, let us build you a personalized plan. We operate on veteran values, service, trust, and doing what's right. Your next chapter starts now. Call Trajan today. 801-207-9900. That's 801-207-9900.
Advisory services offered through Trajan Wealth, LLC, an SEC-registered investment advisor. See website for details.
You've got your whole life ahead of you, so choose a Medicare plan you can count on. And that's what you get with a Medicare Advantage plan from United Healthcare. With more than 45 years' experience serving its members, United Healthcare has plans with low monthly premiums that fit your life today and as your needs change tomorrow. The Medicare annual enrollment period ends December 7th, so go to uhc.com/Medicare today. United Healthcare Medicare plans. It's Medicare coverage Utah can count on.
Hey, this is Maria Chaleos, and I am here with Blair. He's also a client of Salt Lake City Fat Loss. Thanks for coming in.
Pleasure to be here.
So great to see you. So how much weight have you lost?
I've lost an amazing 52 pounds in just 60 days.
That's incredible. How do you feel?
Oh, I feel great. I have more energy, and the GERD and acid reflux is gone.
Talk about the scale for a minute. Were you surprised at how quickly the number went down?
It was astonishing to me as I'd get on the scale, even in the very beginning when I saw, 2-3 pounds drop off. But I ended up looking forward to getting on the scale to see how much I'd lost in the last day.
Tell me about the biggest benefits you've seen from Salt Lake City Fat Loss.
I have much more confidence in myself, lots more energy, much more adventurous walks with my dogs.
Thanks so much for sharing another great success story with Salt Lake City Fat Loss. Learn the secret of losing up to 1 pound of unhealthy fat per day online at slcfatloss.com. slcfatloss.com.
Results may vary.
Just around the corner, a weekend of fun for the whole family. Beatty Days 2025 in Beatty, Nevada. With a chili cook-off, car show, live music, parade, bed races, contests and games, vendors, and food. Enter a cornhole or horseshoe tournament. Or take a guided tour of the ghost town of Rhyolite. It all starts Friday, October 31st with a costume contest for all ages. Stake your claim for fun at Beatty Days 2025 in Beatty, Nevada. Visit BeattyNevada.org.
I'm Ed Evans, CEO of Consumer Cellular. Ever wonder why Big Wireless wants you on an unlimited plan? They probably want you to cover the cost of those 20-somethings using all that data every month. But most people 50 and up like me only use 12 gigs or less. Don't get bamboozled by Big Wireless. Switch to Consumer Cellular. Our plans start at just $20, and we use the same towers as the big guys. Join the millions who choose something better, because if you're not using all that data, you're probably getting used.
Call 1-888-FREEDOM or visit consumercellular.com/facts. Plans include $5 credit for auto pay and e-billing. See site for additional facts.
Help DEA keep our communities safe and healthy by participating in National Prescription Drug Take-Back Day, Saturday, October 25th. Take action right in your own home by cleaning out your medicine cabinet of unneeded medications. Keep them safe, clean them out, take them back. Find a collection site near you at DEATakeback.com. Do your part to lower overdose deaths and prevent prescription drug misuse before it starts. That's DEATakeback.com.
If you're talking, they will hear you.
We all want our kids to grow up safe and healthy, so we show them how. And we tell them with honest conversations that let them know what we expect. Not just one time, but every chance we get. That's especially important when it comes to alcohol and other drugs. Kids not only need to know the dangers and how to avoid them, they need to hear it often from you. And when it comes to pain medications, opioids, they need to know that they should never be taken without a prescription and never shared with friends or family. It's dangerous and illegal. So talk with your kids and guide them through the challenges of growing up safe and healthy. Because when you talk, they hear you. For more information about talking with your kids about underage use of alcohol and other drugs, visit underagedrinking.samhsa.gov.
So talk, they hear you. You can do it if you try.
Any Hour Services free furnace sale is going on right now.
If you haven't scheduled your free estimate yet, what are you waiting for? Call Any Hour Services today or schedule online at anyhourservices.com.
Inside Sources.
So politics isn't just shaping elections anymore. Now, Holly, it's shaping romance. In today's world, political differences between men and women are becoming deal breakers even before the first date happens. And I would just say this, and it's been a long, long time since I dated, but I've never known the political affiliation of the person I was dating before I dated them. And I don't know that it even would have affected things. But
my husband and I didn't talk about it at all. Right.
Right.
I don't remember any conversations about politics while we were dating and even while we were first married. In fact, there's at least one election where he wouldn't tell me who he voted for. But now we talk about it all the time, and it can be a deal breaker. So there's a new piece from the Deseret News looking at how Gen Z and millennials are navigating love in a politically polarized landscape. So dating apps are now serving as filters. They're filtering people out because, basically it's saying no liberals need apply or no conservatives need apply. So we have joining us in studio Caitlin Johnston. She's our producer, and she's awesome. She's also was the co-host of KSL's podcast, Dating at Her Age. Hi.
I just want to say it is actually very interesting to just hear your guys' perspective on. We didn't even talk about this at first because it is a very, very loud issue right now. And dating apps, as you said, people use it to say, no liberals, no snowflakes, no Trumpers, you know, MAGA things, anything like that it's kind of a way to kick people off the list a little bit, which I have my own personal feelings about that, and I think it's problematic. But also it's unattractive to me if I see that in somebody's profile. It's already why are we bringing this into the mix? That's kind of how I feel about it. Yeah. But it's a very important issue to a lot of people today.
Yeah, in my era, when I was young, married, the cross-political couple that was making news at the time was Arnold Schwarzenegger and Maria Shriver. Very, very Republican, very, very Democrat. Their marriage didn't end up lasting. I'm not sure it had as much to do with politics as other things. But, that was one where it's how are those dinner table conversations? That must be super interesting, right? But because, of course, Maria Shriver comes from the Kennedy side and Arnold is a strong Republican. And he was governor at the time of California. Yeah. Anyway, why do you think that people are now using this as an immediate strike?
Well, I just think that politics, especially for the younger generation and the chronically online generation, they've become very, very personal for people. Not that it always kind of has been, but it's so loud right now and it's very polarizing that it's top of mind for a lot of people. And it's more about, do we have the same values and do we have the same morals versus can we just, hang out together and enjoy each other's time? And I think that it is kind of jumping to conclusions a little bit quickly. I see both sides of it, though, because of how loud it is. You kind of want to filter out people you don't think you agree with. But my question is, do you actually know if you don't agree with them, or have you not had a proper conversation at the same time? So
one of the things that I'm seeing, Greg, one of the things I'm seeing is that they're looking at saying, well, young women are really progressive. So they're talking age 18 to 25, and men of the same age are more conservative than men born in the 1980s. And so they're seeing that there's a bigger and bigger divide, right? That we're not going to cross that divide. I think to your point, right? How do you even know if you don't even have a conversation?
Right, and this is a joke, but this might be why there's a male loneliness epidemic out there. But yes, that's it. That's kind of my takeaway with this is, and I think the internet has a big reason with this, is we are so emotionally triggered by anything right now because of what we see online. And my whole thing with the podcast that I hosted with Debbie Dujanovic, who has since retired, Dating at Her Age, I was always kind of anti the apps. I wanted to try them, but I really, really wanted to meet people in person. And I think because you guys had that experience, you met someone probably in person.
Yeah.
You didn't have dating apps. It wasn't top of mind there, and it wasn't as polarizing. And so I think just the big questions you should be asking, before you even, if you meet someone in person, sure, but if you decide, hey, I'm going to go on a date with this person who seems to have a political difference, don't go into the date thinking you can change their mind, but also just maybe they think something that you haven't thought of in that way. Be open to listen to them instead of just judging them immediately. And then, yes, if you get to the end of the day and you are completely different humans and you're very different with your morals, then yes, that makes sense. But I just think that we're so like eager for the clickbait and stuff like that, and it triggers us emotionally, and that's really just the big problem that I see with it.
Okay, I have two questions. One's haunting me, and it's a short one. What's a snowflake? And second, what is? So it seems to be. Is there some place on these dating apps where there's some room for describing your political views?
Yes, I'll address both. Snowflake is just a term that sometimes people use to call Democrats or liberals. I think it just means you're a softie or sensitive because snowflakes. I don't know exactly why. That's just something that sometimes you see online. But yes, in like certain dating apps, it is like you can put it in your bio. Like on Hinge, for example, you can like answer a list of questions, but it can be very clear. Like I have seen it, like no liberals, no Trumper, like things like that. And it, like I said, it's a turnoff. But it's just the way people are starting to filter people out. But as I said, I think it's problematic.
Yeah, that's Greg. You always find something interesting to say. What's a snowflake?
Never heard of it.
I didn't create the term. I don't know.
I know, right? No, it's supposed to be people on the left that are easily offended. That's what it's supposed to mean. So I think one of the things, just as you're talking, Caitlin, one of the things that I think about is this conversation people are trying to have around being civil, right? About the Dignity Index. They're doing a big leadership summit today, but there's all kinds of organizations, Braver Angels. I mean, you name it. There's all kinds of people out there trying to say, look, we need to get along. This is not only is it breaking relationships that currently exist, it's now preventing relationships from coming into existence because we don't know how to talk to each other.
Yes, and like I said, I blame the internet for that. But yes, and I think just we all just need to, not even in dating, we all just need to be open-minded to hearing another person out and then determine your judgment on that person instead of just judging them very quickly. And I think when it comes to dating, like just the big question to ask, like, do you respect each other? Can you have respectful discourse? Like you said, the Arnold Schwarzenegger example, like they probably didn't agree on political things, but that's okay. You can do that in a very respectful way, and they probably have fun with it.
Yeah,
almost. So just questions like that, and just generally, do you morally agree with each other? Which, like I said, that's what people are jumping to the conclusion of, but they don't really know.
Are there dating apps that are just by their definition leaned one way or the other? I mean, is there?
I don't know. You might have just created an idea for someone.
MAGA meetup.
Yeah.
Oh,
I don't know the answer to that, but I bet you just started a revolution with that.
I mean, church groups have them. Farmers have them. There are certain groups that, I mean, I don't know.
I would not be surprised if there were. Because that's the way that this country is going and the world is going. Yeah. But I don't like that idea because we can learn from the other side. Right. If you want to say there's another side, but just other perspectives. We can learn from so many different people.
Right. I think people, Governor Cox and First Lady Abby Cox say this all the time. It's hard to hate people up close.
Yes.
But if you never get close, you don't have the opportunity, like you said, to learn about others' experiences. When, staying open and curious, I think, is one way that we really get to learn about each other. It's one of the things I think that can really unite us in saying, look, help me understand why you think that, or what is it you're hoping for, or, as long as we're not going in with our armor already on, right?
Right.
So
don't set it up for failure.
Right. That's right. So what other advice do you have for people who might be dating right now? Just give up?
No, don't. Well, I wouldn't say give up. I tried. Anyways, I didn't give up, but I would just say allow wiggle room. Like with a lot of us have these dating checklists, right? And so I think that there is not one perfect person.
I agree.
You make a list, but people have this idea of a person. So allow wiggle room, and you may have thought there's things that are important to you that you didn't realize until you start dating that person, and just don't automatically rule people out. But like I said, I do want to emphasize that I understand why people are doing it because everyone is so polarized right now. People are so loud. You don't want to go on a date with someone who's just rambling about politics, unless that's what you're into. Then cool. But it can be very divisive, and that's just not what you're worried about at the moment. You're worried about, their moral values, which that can expose that. But my biggest tip is to touch grass, get off the internet, maybe get off the apps, and go talk to people outside in a respectful manner. Because there's people out there that are willing to do that.
And
Thanks.
some of them are snowflakes.
I shouldn't have said that. It's just on the internet. I don't know.
Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for helping us with that, Caitlin. Utah is going to need an estimated 100,000 new homes by 2055 to meet market demand. Current estimates put us 235,000 short of that. CEO of Envision Utah, Jason Brown, joins us next.
10:30 at KSL News Radio. I'm Andy Farnsworth. KSL's top story this hour. A man has been arrested after an SUV crashed into a Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints meeting house in West Valley City last night near 3100 West and 4700 South. Police say a boyfriend and girlfriend were arguing right before the SUV crashed into the church, and police are accusing the man of driving under the influence. The man has been booked into jail, and police say an inspector has closed the church because of the damage. Our top national story this hour from ABC News. President Trump took extra precautions leaving Florida Sunday night after a hunting stand was found with a direct line of sight to Air Force One. ABC's Mola Lengi reports.
The hunting hideout was found next to Palm Beach International Airport just before President Trump arrived Friday. FBI Director Kash Patel saying the agency has since taken the investigatory lead, flying in resources to collect all evidence from the scene and deploying our cell phone analytics capabilities.
The president walked more quickly than usual onto Air Force One, using a smaller staircase instead of a larger one in the front of the plane he typically uses. Your money at this moment, the Dow is up 359 points to 46,550. Coming up, we're dry for a few days, but then not in the weekend. KSL weather's next. KSL News Time, 10:31.
A reminder about the simplest way to get updated for your day.
Hit your KSL preset when you jump in the car, and we'll take care of the rest.
Hear key news updates and traffic reports.
Andy and Amanda from 5 to 9 in your car.
KSL News Radio at 102.7 FM.
If you're getting new gutters, make absolutely sure that you don't get screwed. I mean literally, don't get screwed. Tim Jr. here from RGS Exteriors. And every single gutter company out there uses screws to hold their gutters together at the corners and downspouts. They use screws because they're fast and cheap and easy, but man, they're terrible for your gutters, aside from possibly cutting your hand. They also loosen and corrode over time because they're not made from the same metal as the gutters. At RGS Exteriors, we've been installing gutters for 70 years now, and we don't use screws. We only use permanent, strong, and unobtrusive rivets. They're made from the same material as the gutters, so they won't oxidize and they won't corrode. They'll also never loosen. Your hand is safe too. Did I mention they look amazing? So don't get screwed. Call RGS and get riveted gutters. Our number is 801-280-3110 or visit us at rgsutah.com. That's 801-280-3110 or rgsutah.com.
Every time I turn around, my friends at Pure Talk give me one more reason to feel good about switching. This month, for instance, they're supporting Canines for Warriors, a terrific organization that trains rescue dogs and then pairs them up with combat veterans struggling with PTSD. The result? They're saving lives on both ends of the leash. This is why I switched to Pure Talk. I like being in business with an American wireless company who shares my values. Yeah, I appreciate unlimited talk, text, and plenty of 5G data for just $25 a month, and I bet you will too. But I think you'll really appreciate doing business with a company who gives back to the men and women who volunteered to defend our country. Just dial pound 250, say micro. With Pure Talk's U.S. customer service team, you can switch in as little as 10 minutes. Again, dial pound 250, say micro, to switch to an American wireless company who actually stands for something. Pure Talk.
Traffic and weather together brought to you by Mountain America. Turn everyday spending into an extraordinary escape. And let's check in with Heather Kelly.
Well, the only slowdown we have right now is on the west side belt, northbound I-215 between California Avenue and the turnoff to I-80 and Redwood Road. It's due to emergency maintenance. Now, this is also where we have the road construction zone. So then they've got extra crews trying to repair a portion of the roadway in between, again, California Avenue and I-80. So it's just slowing people down from time to time through there. Otherwise, things are looking good on the east side belt, also through Parley's Canyon and I-15, both directions between Spanish Fork and Ogden. Heather Kelly in the KSL Traffic Center.
KSL weather, the rain showers have moved out, and we should stay dry for most of the week until another storm system moves in Saturday. Today's high should be in the mid-50s. Right now it's 50 degrees and sunny in Salt Lake City. I'm Andy Farnsworth from the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Listen online at kslnewsradio.com. We're Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
The all-new Inside Sources. Inside Sources. Your inside access to the people and policies shaping Utah's future. Here are Greg Skordas and Holly Richardson on KSL News Radio.
I think one of our favorite topics, at least by the number of times we've discussed it, is housing in Utah. Availability, affordability. Well, Envision Utah just recently released a report that is looking forward about 30 years. And they say we need 840,000 homes to meet market demand in the next 3 decades, but we're not on track to meet that.
And that's a number that's almost astronomical. I mean,
It is.
I thought population was not increasing at that level.
Well,
and that, in fact, maybe some estimates are that population would decrease. But 840,000 new homes in 30 years, I don't even know how you do that.
Well, we have with us in studio the CEO of Envision Utah, Jason Brown. Thanks for joining us, Jason.
Thank you for having me.
Can you just first set for our listeners a little bit about Envision Utah? Tell us who you are.
Absolutely. So we're a nonprofit. We've been around since the late 90s, and our goal is to try and bring people together to deal with the challenges and the opportunities that come with being a really rapidly growing place.
And what's your role there?
I'm the CEO. I lead the organization.
Okay, so tell us about this study and how Envision's involved with it.
Yeah, well, this was funded by the legislature. It came out of the Economic Opportunities Commission, but then we've been working under the direction of the Governor's Office of Economic Opportunity to analyze our capacity for new housing. So we looked at where's all the available land in Utah where we could build new homes. And then we looked at what market demand for new housing might be based on demographic projections and market trends. And then we layered on things like, well, where do we have constraints based on water or transportation or sewer? And so we tried to figure out not only how many houses we need, but how many we actually have the capacity to build based on where we are today.
So that's really interesting to me. Will we be built out by 2055?
No, that's not the end point where there'll be no more space, but how we grow over the next 30 years is going to have a big impact on how much room we have for more development or what our capacity is for or to accommodate the market demand and the growth that will continue to see.
So when you look at vacant land, I mean, it's all over the place in Utah, but people want to work along the Wasatch Front. And if you look at Salt Lake County, there's not a lot of room for any more building. I mean, we just got rid of the prison, so out south there between Salt Lake and Utah counties, there's probably some room for growth. But otherwise, we're a little bit landlocked here in Salt Lake County in terms of where we can build housing. That means we've got to expand to different parts of the state, I guess is what I'm trying to say.
Well, market demand is going to be strongest closer to pre-existing economic centers. Basically, people want to live near-ish where they're going to be able to find jobs and have downtowns nearby and things like that. So there is still a lot of projected growth. Most of the growth is still projected to be along the Wasatch Front. And we actually looked at a couple different market areas. So we looked at new development, so places that are currently vacant land, or sometimes it's agricultural land that's expected to turn over. But then we also looked at growth that needs to happen within our existing communities, within our existing cities and towns. And then we also looked at growth around public transportation stops because there's a lot of market demand for that. We want to make sure we get our bang for our buck there. And as we look out to the future, we expect probably about half of our growth or more will need to happen in that currently vacant land. Another 30% probably happening at other places within our existing cities and towns, and then 20% that will need to happen near those public transportation stops to meet market demand.
So I just have a couple of follow-up questions. You mentioned demographics. What are our projected demographics for 2055? And are these business-based, so people are going to be moving in? How are you getting those numbers?
So those numbers are based on the Kempsey Gardner Policy Institute's projections. I don't remember all the specifics right now, but as you mentioned at the beginning, our population growth is slowing. The rate of growth is definitely going to be declining by 2055, but 10% or 9% of 4 million people is still a lot of people that will expect year over year or decade over decade growth. And so a lot of that historically and in the future, we're going to expect to see a lot of what we call natural growth, which is us here in Utah having kids. But then immigration or people coming in from out of state is also a large segment of our growth. But yeah, a lot of the same growth trends that we're seeing are going to continue. It'll slow a little bit, but still definitely a growing place as long as Utah is a great place to live.
And I'm seeing that the expected growth in the need for homes is about $840,000. The current estimate in terms of 840,000 homes, I should say. The current estimate for building is 235,000 short of that. That's going to make our already really steep house prices go higher because there's going to be a shortage of housing, it seems like.
Oh, yeah. The biggest thing that we can do for housing affordability is to bring the market supply and demand into balance. So having enough supply to meet the demand. And this was giving us sort of a baseline trajectory, letting us know the direction we're headed based on, like I said, those transportation constraints, water constraints, sewer constraints, the land that's available. If we were to not change our strategies in any of those areas, we would come up short. But the good news is we still have 30 years before we hit that need for 840,000 new homes. And so we can make changes. We can figure out how do we make sure that we have the infrastructure we need to open up some of the new development areas, or how do we make sure that we are using or in some cases redeveloping the opportunities in our existing cities and towns to make sure that we have the housing we need. Because if we can bring that market supply and demand into balance, that's going to do a lot for affordability.
I know one of the issues, you just mentioned affordability, but for people trying to get into their first place, even if it's not a standalone home, right, but a starter condo or something, that seems to be one of the areas where Utah's really struggling right now. And I think, if I understand correctly, your report didn't directly address that, but you have looked at that before. Where are we with, like, including starter homes or these, the first step? If we want our kids to stay in Utah, they have to be able to live somewhere. Well, besides my basement, I guess.
Right. Well, yeah, I mean, one of the big secrets there is to make sure that we have a lot of housing variety. So not every home needs to be on a quarter-acre lot and be 3,000 square feet, because people have different family compositions and are different stages of life. Not everybody needs that the whole entire time that they're homeowners. Mm-hmm. And so having housing variety, usually that means having a mix of condos or townhomes and maybe even apartments within communities, as well as variety or homes at different sizes and styles, can provide some of those starter home opportunities. Particularly, there's a lot of interest in ownership opportunities so that people can own a condo or own a townhome or something and get started on building some equity around their home there.
We're speaking to CEO of Envision Utah, Jason Brown. And I know this isn't part of the study, but Utah currently has a very, very low unemployment rate. Do we expect, and I know this is off the wall a little bit, do we expect job growth to sort of equal the numbers that you're talking about here?
Part of the reason that we expect to see so much growth is because we have a really strong economy, and because we expect that we'll continue to have an economy that will make Utah a great place to live, and that's going to continue to bring people here. It is this stuff doesn't happen by accident. Like we're not going to be a great place to live 30 years from now just by happenstance. It does take a lot of deliberate collaboration and coordination, and that's what we try and do at Envision Utah is bring people together to say, okay, here's where we're headed right now. We can change that. We can control where we want to be. And so let's try and figure out what's our solutions for economic development, for housing affordability. How do we actually build enough homes so that we can make sure that we meet demand so homes are affordable? That's what we're trying to do with this, is to say, this is our starting point. We should be a little worried about the trajectory we're on, but we shouldn't be worried about the future because we have a chance now to work together and figure out how to make the future we want.
So one final question in our last minute, but with looking forward and now you I don't even know if you have a roadmap, but what are the next steps?
Yeah, the next steps are to figure out what are the choices, what are the alternatives to this current trajectory. So we'll be pulling together people from around the state to think through, okay, well, how do we open up infrastructure, for instance, or how do we make sure that we're really taking advantage of the opportunities within our cities? This is the kind of work that Envision Utah started doing, and that we do in issues like education and air quality and the Great Salt Lake, and is we try and figure out how do we make a vision and a strategic plan for the future. So if people want to be involved in this, they can go to the website, they can see and read the report, sign up for our newsletters, and find ways where we can track, or they can track how we can work together on creating a plan for making sure that we have the housing we need and we can address some of the other concerns so that 2055 Utah still is a really great place to live.
Thank you so much. We've been speaking with Jason Brown, the CEO of Envision Utah. And Greg, what do Hamburger Helper, cardboard, and lipstick have in common? We're going to talk about that coming up next. Stay with us on KSLNewsRadio.com and on the app for KSL News Radio, sponsored by At Your Service Pros.
Amanda, sometimes a deal is so good that they decide to extend it because they want more people to have an opportunity. That's what Bedrock Quartz is doing with their employee pricing deal.
They are extending it through the month of October, so you pay what an employee would pay, and you can get your new kitchen or your new bathroom done before the holidays.
The only limit is your imagination. They have over 100 different options for countertops, including quartz, quartzite, granite, marble. They can do bathrooms. What can't they do? They do backsplashes.
And their attention to detail is extraordinary. Andy and I went to their facility in West Jordan where they cut the marble and the quartz, and just to see how meticulous they were with cutting that stone, not to mention the installation process.
Yeah, they do 35 kitchens every day, so they're experienced, they're proficient, and they'll work with you. Whatever you want, they can take care of.
They've got showrooms all over the place in West Jordan, Layton, Murray, Park City, Sandy, Pleasant Grove, Spanish Fork, St. George, and Salt Lake City, but
you can also go to bedrockquartz.com.
You trust us for news and information in your car. Now trust us at home. KSL News Radio has you covered, keeping you informed on the latest breaking news, weather, traffic, sports, and more. Listen on your Amazon Echo or Google Home device. Just say, Alexa, open KSL News Radio. Or listen on the KSL News Radio Listen app. Text the word app to 57500. KSL News Radio. We have you covered.
Help DEA keep our communities safe and healthy by participating in National Prescription Drug Take-Back Day, Saturday, October 25th. Take action right in your own home by cleaning out your medicine cabinet of unneeded medications. Keep them safe, clean them out, take them back. Find a collection site near you at DEATakeback.com. Do your part to lower overdose deaths and prevent prescription drug misuse before it starts. That's DEATakeback.com.
Coverage varies by plan. View contracts and exclusions at EnduranceWarranty.com. If you have a 2004 or newer vehicle that's out of warranty or about to be, Endurance is urgently notifying U.S. drivers about their low-cost vehicle coverage plan designed to save drivers thousands on rising vehicle repair costs. Those who qualify can pick their plan, coverage, and repair shop. Roadside service, towing, and rental cars included. All covered repairs get paid directly to the repair shop for you. Call now for your free quote. Call 800-347-1173. That's 800-347-1173.
Hi, this is Derek Overstreet, president of the New Millennium Group and co-host of Stop Working, Start Living with KSL News Radio. Can you imagine what your life would be like if you could retire 3 to 5 years earlier than you thought possible? The things you could do, the loved ones you could spend time with, the memories that you could create. That's what our team at the New Millennium Group does. We'll walk you through the entire process every step of the way. If you'd like to get a copy of the 5-step proprietary plan that will help you retire 3 to 5 years sooner than you thought possible, give us a shout right now. 888-999-6370. That's 888-999-6370 or utahsfinancialplanner.com. Listen, most of our listeners right now have a tax problem, not a money problem. There's not enough money in Social Security Medicare as it is. Let us show you how you can significantly reduce your taxes. That's 888-999-6370, 888-999-6370, or utahsfinancialplanner.com.
The other day, I'm over at a friend's place. He's pumped to watch football, but his setup, total mess. Lagging, buffering, and switching between apps trying to find the game. He claimed he was a big fan, but I felt like I was fan-fished. See, if you call yourself a football fan, you gotta have Xfinity. It's the ultimate sports destination. I can find the best games and my favorite teams all in one place. And the way I watch? Next level. It's the perfect fan flex. I have all the action right in my living room, plus Xfinity's best picture and sound with enhanced 4K. So clear, it feels like I'm in the stadium. Sometimes I've got 4 games going at once because why not? On top of all that, I get real-time notifications and live stats right on my TV. It's the best seat in the house every time. Next game day, make sure that big fan isn't a big fail. Learn more at Xfinity.com. Xfinity. Imagine that. Restrictions apply. Multiview requires Xfinity 4K capable TV box.
The average text takes your eyes off the road for about 5 seconds. At highway speeds, that's enough time to travel the length of a football field. StopTextsStopWrecks.org. Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
Getting help with plumbing repairs is easier than you think. All you have to do is call Any Hour Services or schedule an appointment at anyhourservices.com. No one helps more homeowners than Any Hour Services.
An expanded Inside Sources.
So recently, Mark Zandi, who's a chief economist with Moody's Analytics, was in Utah, and we talked about this, Greg. He said the recession risk is uncomfortably high for him. And it leads us into our next discussion topic. So what do hamburger helper, cardboard, lipstick, maybe visits to the hair salon, wait times at restaurants, what do they all have in common?
There's apparently economic signs that when people are not doing some of those things, that's because they're a little nervous about their financial future.
Correct. We have Jay Evenson in studio with us. He's the Deseret News opinion editor, and he wrote a really great piece about all these different components. Hi, Jay.
Hi. You guys like Hamburger Helper?
No.
I remember in college. I mean, that was a big deal. It was like the Sunday dinner. If you had a date you wanted to invite over, you make Hamburger Helper because the rest of the week it was macaroni and cheese, which you could get at the local store for 19 cents a box. That was a long time ago. But anyway, we're living in a time right now where the government's been closed for I don't know how many days.
20 days.
Okay. Well, someone's keeping count. And so we don't have the usual economic indicators from the Bureau of Labor Statistics. So people are looking all over the economy for indicators. And I talk about one. We went to a Mexican restaurant, my wife and I, which is normally crowded and there's normally a wait. And we got right in. You know, we just walked right in. And I looked around and there were a lot of empty booths. And I thought, does this mean that we're in hard economic times? And then I came across the Hamburger Helper Index. This has been around for a while. In 2008 and again during the pandemic, people marked how sales of Hamburger Helper went up when the economy got worse because people wanted to spread out their ground beef, right, to make more meals.
Right.
And so it was a good indicator. And the sales of Hamburger Helper are up 14.5% so far this year. It's complicated a little bit because there's a new show by FX called The Bear, which has featured Hamburger Helper. So maybe that's skewing things a bit, right? Making people go buy some. But there are other indicators out there. There are canned goods. There's macaroni and cheese, which sales are way up also. There's the lipstick index. So supposedly, when times are bad, women will, instead of buying a designer bag, they'll get expensive lipstick, luxury lipstick. It's kind of retail therapy, but it's in a sort of a substitution effect. Actually, sales of luxury lipstick are flat, so that doesn't really tell us much. There's the hair index. People go a longer time between going to the salon because they don't have as much money, and so you can track that, I guess. And there's something called recession hair when your hair doesn't look too good. That I could have a recession all the time with that index. Cardboard box production is interesting because when people move, they have cardboard boxes. We order things online all the time that come in cardboard boxes. And there are some mills that are closing around the country, and that may indicate that things are bad. So, I mean, these are just a few of the things that we look around and say, well, maybe this points to things getting worse in lieu of any real hard evidence from the federal government.
They almost seem like things that people are perceiving. People are like, hey, I'm not comfortable about the economy. Maybe I don't need to go to the expensive restaurant. And more than just in response to their own economic problems. They almost seem like predictors, I guess.
In a way, or self-fulfilling prophecies, I suppose.
Right.
If you think that times are hard, you're going to act as if times are hard, and then times will be hard because we're not buying as much, and therefore we won't be producing as much. There's a lot of economic uncertainty out there. And part of it has to do with tariffs that keep going up and down, and nobody knows really where they are. And if you own a business, and I've talked in here before about toy manufacturers who buy from China, and they don't know. Am I going to get 100% tariff on my goods from China, or is it going to be 18%? I mean, what's it going to be? It seems to change all the time. So you try to open up new supply chains. You try to change your inventory, and you raise your prices. And so there's a lot of uncertainty right now.
Yeah, I think the uncertainty also would make people maybe not go out to eat. Maybe it's because they're not struggling yet, but they're looking down the road and they're not sure. But Jay, one of the things you also mentioned was credit scores, and I'm wondering if you could talk to us about credit scores, but maybe even the use of credit right now.
Yeah, credit scores are down an average of about 2% this year, and there's higher delinquencies on car loans and other personal loans. It doesn't seem to have much effect on how people use credit cards, and we seem to we passed some kind of a barrier many years ago where that was seen as something that you do as a last resort, and credit card debt keeps going up in this country. It's a cumulative well over $1 trillion right now. So it's a little interesting. Americans like to complain about the government being in debt, but Americans themselves are heavily in debt as well.
Yeah, and not seemingly getting better. There are some indicators, Jay, that seem to be going the other way, which is the stock market is almost in record territory all the time. And I don't know how important of an indicator that is. And in Utah, our home values are quite high. I mean, people have significant wealth in there if they own a home right now. Those would seem to be, I don't know, giving some people some reassurance, maybe not.
Yes and no. The Wall Street Journal comes out with a story saying here are some underlying factors in the economy that may mean that stocks aren't doing as well as we think they're doing. You talk about Mark Zandi, and he says that 22 states are already in recession, plus the District of Columbia. Utah, however, is one that's listed as still growing and still thriving. So, and this is a very popular place now to move to, and that's why there's lots of pressure on housing, and we don't have the housing stock to meet that demand, and therefore our prices keep going up and up and up. Economies are complicated, and there's a lot of different factors swirling around.
Yeah, it's interesting. So, what's your big takeaway? Are we headed into a recession?
Well, businesses hate uncertainty, and that's the thing that's worrying me more than anything is with tariffs. We don't know really what the price of things should be, up or down, and when times are uncertain, businesses tend to pull back and become a little bit more conservative in what they do, which can lead to a downturn in the economy. We haven't really had a recession for a long time. Well, we had one during the pandemic, but that was kind of artificially imposed on us because of the pandemic. Economies go in cycles. I don't know. I used to joke a year or two ago that we always seem to be 6 months away from a recession. Economists were always saying, well, in about 6 months we could have a problem. Then 6 months would come and it'd always be another 6 months. I'm hoping that's still the case.
6 months away.
Yeah, and you mentioned 22 states by this definition are currently experiencing a recession. Utah not, but if the country goes into a recession, we're jumping into that whether we want to or not.
Right, and Mark Zandi was talking about California and New York kind of being on the cusp, on the brink, and if they were to go into recession, he thinks it would pull the rest of the country in. So wait and see.
I think the good news for Utah is like the last recession in 2008, last in, first out, at least, pretty good because of all of the at least diversified economy that we have here, the workforce. So we'll keep our fingers crossed.
I like
for that.
these indicators, Jay. Thanks for joining us, by the way. You can now look at the sale of Hamburger Helper, and when that goes up, it means people are less comfortable with the economy and other things you mentioned.
Lipstick, cardboard, restaurant wait times.
Or you're just getting ready for a big Sunday meal.
Right?
There you go. Right. There you go.
All right. What else did you notice? One last thing. What else did you notice at the restaurant?
Oh, that the price of the food was up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There you go.
Right. That's an indicator as well.
Thank you, Jay. Thanks.
All right. So when we come back, if you follow at all the royal family like I do sometimes, Prince Andrew had a bombshell announcement over the weekend. Stay with us on KSL News Radio. You can stream us on KSL News Radio app, sponsored by At Your Service Pros.
KSL FM Midvale.
KSL Salt Lake City.
From the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios, this is KSL News Radio.
Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
11 o'clock at KSL News Radio. I'm Becky Bruce. KSL's top story this hour. The CEO of Crumble says if BYU is fined for celebrating after their win over Utah this weekend, he'll pay it. Thousands of students rushed the field. BYU President Shane Reese was even spotted crowd surfing, and Crumble CEO Jason McGowan took a selfie with quarterback Bear Bachmeier. Our top national story this hour from ABC News. Rutgers is responding after a hazing incident that left a student critically injured.
Rutgers has issued a statement offering support to the student's family and says the fraternity involved has been placed under a cease and desist order and is now on disciplinary probation. Alpha Sigma Phi says it's still gathering evidence, but if it's determined hazing is what left the undergrad in critical condition, the chapter will be closed permanently and any student found to be involved will be expelled from school. The 19-year-old was found unresponsive last Wednesday, but they haven't said what caused his injuries. Sherry Preston, ABC News.
Forget inflation and job insecurity. Americans still want to celebrate Halloween, and they're willing to pay.
The National Retail Federation says that, on average, Americans will spend $114 per person for Halloween candy, decorations, and costumes. $1.4 billion will be spent collectively for kids' costumes, another $2 billion for adults. And the NRF says Americans will spend $860 million to dress up their pets.
That's ABC's Jim Ryan. Your money at this moment. The Dow is up almost 1 full percentage point. S&P 500 and NASDAQ also up just about 1% all told. Coming up, sunny but cool today. KSL weather is next. KSL News Time, 11:01.
The sources where we get our news matters.
When you listen to Utah's Morning News, we want you to feel the stories are important to you and trustworthy. This is Amanda Dixon.
And I'm Andy Farnsworth. Join us weekday mornings on KSL News Radio.
You've got your whole life ahead of you, so choose a Medicare plan you can count on. And that's what you get with a Medicare Advantage plan from United Healthcare. With more than 45 years' experience serving its members, United Healthcare has plans with low monthly premiums that fit your life today and as your needs change tomorrow. The Medicare annual enrollment period ends December 7th, so go to uhc.com/Medicare today. United Healthcare Medicare plans. It's Medicare coverage Utah can count on.
Friday, join KSL News Radio and NPS from 10 to 1 as the movie show stops by. Then browse and uncover what makes NPS so great. With 4 locations, NPS takes in new inventory every day. Then they check all competitors' retail pricing before marking items down 20 to 70% off. So you're invited to visit the movie show Friday 10 to 1. And that's the first step to discovering NPS. Visit npsstore.com to begin your own NPS adventure. npsstore.com.
I'm Jenny Oaks Baker, and I invite you to Joy to the World.
It was sacred, exquisitely beautiful, and Jenny's talent on the violin is unmatched.
Featuring choirs, dancers, and My Children musical group, Family 4. Plus world-renowned mezzo-soprano Angela Brower and celebrated baritone and narrator Preston Yates.
Was just like emotionally stirring. The dancers, the singers, Jenny and her family, just bringing to life the beautiful music.
Experience a Christ-centered Christmas as we proudly support Light the World.
It's so beautiful to see how they use all of their talents to just testify of the Savior.
Get your tickets for Joy to the World, a sacred celebration at jennyoaksbaker.com.
Help DEA keep our communities safe and healthy by participating in National Prescription Drug Take-Back Day, Saturday, October 25th. Take action right in your own home by cleaning out your medicine cabinet of unneeded medications. Keep them safe, clean them out, take them back. Find a collection site near you at DEATakeback.com. Do your part to lower overdose deaths and prevent prescription drug misuse before it starts. That's DEATakeback.com.
You're still glowing, flirting, grooving. You still got it. But your immune system weakens as you age, making it harder to fight flu, pneumococcal pneumonia, RSV, and COVID-19. Vaccines are a key part of any health routine. and help strengthen your immune response. Ask your doctor or pharmacist which vaccines you need. Schedule in minutes at vaxassist.com. Sponsored by Pfizer.
Traffic and weather together, brought to you by Mountain America. Turn everyday spending into an extraordinary escape. Let's check in with Heather Kelly.
Well, we do have emergency road repair happening on the west side belt. This is northbound I-215 just before you exit to either I-80 or Redwood Road. And it is blocking the right lane and shoulder of the freeway. This is in the construction zone already, so it looks like we may only have one lane of travel open. That's the far left lane, and that is backing traffic up to California Avenue. The good news is that's really the only delay that I'm seeing anywhere across the Wasatch Front or the Wasatch back, so you're going to have good speeds on I-15, on I-80 through Parley's Canyon. Foothill Rug Gallery's semi-annual sale, up to 70% off already low direct importer prices. If you've wanted a quality handmade rug, this is the sale. Foothill Rugs, 1460 South Foothill Drive. Heather Kelly in the KSL Traffic Center.
It's going to be mostly sunny today, but we're not going to get out of the 50s, 40s for the lows overnight. Then tomorrow, more sunshine, a little bit warmer with a high of 61. Right now, you've got sunny skies and 52 degrees. I'm Becky Bruce from the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Listen online at kslnewsradio.com. We're Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
The all-new Inside Sources. Your inside access to the people and policies shaping Utah's future. Here are Greg Skordas and Holly Richardson on KSL News Radio.
So I kind of teased that Prince Andrew had a bombshell announcement over the weekend, and we had a texter send in.
This is great.
The royal family's the best soap opera ever. Right?
They clearly are. And we have our own sort of version of a royal family here, but nothing like they do in England. And so just days after giving up many of his royal titles, Prince Andrew is now facing another problem from his friendship with the late convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein. And anyone who got near Jeffrey Epstein is now regretting, even if you went coffee with the guy, you don't want to admit that anymore.
So we have ABC's Olivia Rubin reporting on this.
With scrutiny of his relationship with Jeffrey Epstein growing, Prince Andrew now subject of a police investigation. After new allegations, he once asked a member of his state-funded security detail to investigate his accuser, Virginia Giuffre. The Met Police today saying they are actively looking into the claims made. After British media outlets reported the prince had sought to dig up dirt on Giuffre, even allegedly providing that officer with her date of birth and social security number in 2011.
So this Giuffre was apparently one of the young females that Jeffrey Epstein had supplied for men, and Prince Andrew is alleged to have had sexual relations with her when she was quite young. Now, that was a long time ago. She's now come forward, and
so she has passed away. She committed suicide earlier this year, but she does have a memoir that was just published posthumously, right? And in it, she details how she was forced to have sex with Prince Andrew. And he denies those claims, but it has just elevated things. So the bombshell announcement that I was teasing was that he did say, okay, well, I won't be the Duke of York anymore, right? And that means his former spouse, which is Sarah Ferguson, she will no longer be the Duchess of York. But people in the UK, for a lot of people, they want him stripped of his princely title and his home.
Now, he is the brother of Prince Charles?
Yeah, he is the younger brother of Prince Charles. And one of the things that this would do, and I'm not saying that this is why people want him to be stripped of this princely title, but it would clear the way for Prince William to become the king after Charles instead of the brother, right? It would just go down to Prince William. But, it's the royal family, man. I'm just telling you a couple of things. So first of all, it can be a great soap opera. But second, you've got the Epstein stuff. There is fallout all over the world. He was cavorting with many of the rich and powerful, and it's not just presidents of the United States, current and past, but also with royalty, with titans in the tech industry. I mean, one of the people whose name is linked with Jeffrey Epstein is Bill Gates, right? And there's just a number, right? So we have this issue in England where Andrew he already had stepped back from his royal duties because there was just so much uproar and churn over Epstein, and now he's saying, okay, I'll relinquish my my titles. And yet he's still a prince. He's got a big, sumptuous home, of course. And people are saying, look, King Charles, you just got to strip all this away from him.
And so the allegation arises from a relationship he apparently had with his, like you said, Virginia Jeffrey, when she was 17 years old. She claims that they hooked up 2 or 3 times, several times during that period of time when she was underage. I don't know what his marital or other status was at the time, but he was the Duke of York at the time. He had a high standing within the royal family and within that community. You would think that people are, the more they're learning about him, and the more they're going to learn about him when these Epstein files, when they ever get released,
they will get released.
He'll want to walk away from his title.
One of the things to know too about Andrew is that he paid millions in an out-of-court settlement to Virginia. Is Joffrey? Yeah, Joffrey, I think. She filed a civil lawsuit against him in New York in 2022, and he settled out of court, saying he wasn't admitting wrongdoing, but did acknowledge that she had been a victim of sex trafficking.
Just not by him.
Just not by him.
How do you know it was millions? I thought it was undisclosed. But I mean, because that would be a significant payout for somebody if you're saying I didn't do anything.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm looking at an article from the Associated Press, and they don't have anything more than just it was millions. And then I'm looking at something from 2022 that they link to and say it was a substantial amount. So I guess in the intervening years, they know how much it was.
You know what's tragic about these things, among other things, and I don't know what he did, and I don't pretend to know, but if in fact this occurred as alleged, and if in fact she got millions of dollars, she still committed suicide. And to me, that could be from any number of things. But if it's because of some connection she had with older men at a time when she was a child, those have long-lasting effects that you don't walk away from when somebody gives you $1 million. You don't walk away from when a passage of 10 years. Those are things that haunt young people for the rest of their lives. And the Me Too movement and other things have come about so that we're now prosecuting those offenders and prosecuting those cases in ways we didn't in the past. But you still have victims who are suffering and do for the rest of their lives.
So we have a texter tell me I need to brush up on my royal succession information. That's probably true. I'm taking the information from the BBC, so I figured they knew what they were talking about, but maybe they don't. So here's one additional thing too: is the royal family is bracing for additional revelations. So you've got the king is headed to the Vatican this week, where he's going to pray beside Pope Leo the 14th. But Joffrey's book just came out on Tuesday. She details 3 sexual encounters with Andrew and said that she believed the prince acted as if he believed that it was his birthright to have sex with this underage girl.
Ouch. That can't help either.
Yeah, so the royal family is bracing for additional allegations to come out.
She's not around to be attacked or
and I think that is one of the things that came out when she died by suicide earlier this year. It was in April, is that she just the blaming of the women who were victims in this situation had just got to be too much. So it's just a tragedy, right? And it's one of the things that the BBC is saying also is that this is not just a PR battle. This is something that is really deeply concerning and very, very serious.
Yeah, and so he's given up, or will be giving up, his status as the Duke of York, whatever that means. It probably has some financial consideration to it. I doubt he's going to be in the poorhouse anytime soon. But this is something that could haunt him in big ways going down the road.
Well, and I think it has, right? So he has been removed and been quiet for quite a while. But again, ripples of just really, I think, disturbing, at least alleged misconduct. It's not good.
Yeah, and we'll know more and more as these files get released. We also are learning more about the ceasefire agreement between Israel and Hamas, and that is that it's already beginning to unravel. Both sides are accusing the other of violating the truce. We'll have the latest from Tel Aviv, plus updates on other key international flashpoints, including Ukraine and Colombia. That's next, streaming live at kslnewsradio.com and on the app for KSL News Radio, sponsored by At Your Service Pros.
Hi, this is Doug Wright. The other night, I had the chance to see a brand new play at Hale Center Theater, and it's the musical comedy Murders of 1940. And I'm just going to read what I wrote to Sally Dietlein right after I got out to my truck. I just had to let her know how much I enjoyed it, and I said, a black and white screwball film noir comedy complete with Nazis. You have outdone yourself. This is so unique. The entire play, save only one character, is in black and white. Sally wrote back and said, yeah, I think it's the first time we've ever done, and she used this term, grayscape. It is so unique. You are going to love it. And then just down the hall, Sister Act is showing, and all kinds of wonderful performances still to come, like Frozen. We've already got our tickets for our grandkids. Go to hct.org or get your tickets at the box office. And don't forget, get your 2026 season tickets.
Hi, it's Tori DeVito. In every family, small conversations can make a big impact. I grew up on tour with my parents. Kind of different, but we bonded over music just like other families do over sports, camping, or other interests. And we talked. Little everyday conversations from silly to serious that built a foundation over time. Honest conversations, like when my dad shared his experiences as an alcoholic.
Your honesty about that part of your life gave me a sense of integrity that I wanted to uphold in my own life. And I was so grateful that you and Mom had become these sober, stable people who were always there for me.
I wanted you to know, from someone who's been in recovery more than 30 years now, that hard work is what creates success, not alcohol or other drugs, whether it's music or anything else. I said it a lot, and I'm glad you took it to heart.
Talk, they hear you. For more information about talking with your kids about underage use of alcohol and other drugs, visit underagedrinking.samhsa.gov.
With Progressive's Home Quote Explorer, you can easily find the right home insurance for you, even if it's not with Progressive. But if you don't choose us, then sure, okay, it's not going to work out. We're not going to cry about it or stay awake wondering what our future together would have looked like. We can't get emotionally invested even if it sounds like we are. Progressive's Home Quote Explorer allows you to easily compare home insurance rates and coverages in one place, even if it's not with us. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company affiliates and third-party insurers. Comparison rates not available in all states or situations. Prices vary based on how you buy. I love you. I shouldn't have said that.
Let's go! You're still glowing, flirting, grooving. You still got it. But your immune system weakens as you age, making it harder to fight flu, pneumococcal pneumonia, RSV, and COVID-19. Vaccines are a key part of any health routine and help strengthen your immune response. Ask your doctor or pharmacist which vaccines you need. Schedule in minutes at vaxassist.com. Sponsored by Pfizer.
It all started with a commitment to comfort. Gillette Heating and Air is proud to be Utah County's go-to team for expert HVAC and plumbing solutions. Need a repair, upgrade, or seasonal tune-up? Don't let cost hold you back. With 0% financing available, it's easy to get the work done now and pay later. Plus, save $100 on any repair over $500 and keep your system running strong with a professional tune-up before the heat hits. Visit GilletteHVAC.com or call 385-GET-COOL to book today. Homegrown service pros, financing made simple, comfort made easy.
Carrier, turn to the experts. A Carrier factory authorized dealer.
Attention Jazz Nation. We know you've been waiting on the edge of your seat, and the time has finally arrived. All tickets are available now. Let's go! Your favorite players will be back on the court, bringing the energy all season long. Whether you're looking for season tickets, mini plans, or single game matchups, there's a perfect option for every kind of fan. Show up loud and proud at Delta Center this season. Don't miss your chance to be part of the action. Buy your tickets today at UtahJazz.com.
Do you worry about how much someone drinks?
Do you feel neglected or unloved? If you answered yes to any of these questions, you are not alone.
Al-Anon and Alateen can help. Call 1-866-200-0223 or visit alanon.org/help.
Comcast Business can help turn your small business into a connected, secure, modern business. It's how restaurants become reliably up and running neighborhood favorites. How healthcare offices become the data-protecting caregivers that we all depend on. And how wealth management firms become cyber-securing guardians of your information. With reliable connectivity, enhanced cybersecurity, and Wi-Fi backup, your business can stay connected and get threat-ready with Comcast Business. Powering possibilities.
Now through November 16th,
New Comcast Business customers can get started with 150 megabit internet plus security for $59.99 a month for 12 months with a 2-year agreement. Plus, ask how to get a $500 prepaid card on a qualifying gig package. Call today. Restrictions apply. Requires enrollment in paperless billing and autopay with bank account. Early termination fee applies. Equipment, taxes, and fees extra.
And expanded Inside Sources. Inside Sources.
As we go around the world, we notice that President Trump is now cutting off aid to Colombia, calling the country's president a drug dealer. He's upset about the lack of ceasefire between Israel and Hamas. It's shaky at best. And he's also indicating, Holly, that he's starting to lose interest in the Ukraine fight and maybe trying to get that country to back off a little bit. There's just so much going on right now, and none of it's going particularly the way that I think our president wants it to go.
Yeah, it's the over the weekend there were clashes on both sides between Israel and Hamas, and prompted U.S. officials, including the White House envoy Steve Witkoff and Jared Kushner, to go back to Israel. We have more from ABC's Tom Sufi-Burridge in Tel Aviv.
The fragile truce between Israel and Hamas collapsing over the weekend during a nearly 12-hour period. The IDF accusing Hamas of killing 2 of its soldiers Sunday in a surprise attack from a tunnel. Hamas denying involvement. President Trump suggesting that might be true, but Israel retaliating, saying it targeted Hamas in a wave of airstrikes right across the Gaza Strip on Sunday. 44 Palestinians killed in the violence, according to the Hamas-run Gaza Health Ministry.
And I don't know that it's any surprise, Holly, but this ceasefire didn't last very long at all. What happened that was significant, and I think that the president deserves a lot of credit, was the exchange of the prisoners for the hostages.
Right.
And those families, if you saw them, were just beside themselves. And the Palestinians were partying in the streets. They were dancing. They were singing. They were enjoying what was going on as their loved ones were coming home. Of course, the Israelis were feeling the same way. But with respect to the underlying governments between Hamas and Israel, that anger and that violence doesn't seem to have taken much of a break.
And they're still doing the both sides, right? So we know that Hamas was doing public executions in the street as they were trying to reclaim power. And then Israel said, okay, we're going to shut down this aid convoy and close this one border crossing because we don't think Hamas is upholding their deal. And then Hamas points to, or Palestinians point to dozens of people who were killed by Israeli forces over the weekend. I mean, it's something where, again, shaky at best is probably a good explanation.
And part of it is, and we talked about this last week, the whole idea that when you have these peace agreements and these ceasefires, that the devil is sometimes in the details.
Right.
And there was a 20-point plan.
Right.
Several points of which neither country were ever going to agree to. Hamas surrendering all their arms, getting out of Gaza, not having involvement with the politics of that anymore, made no sense and was something Hamas was not going to do. Israel abandoning and getting out of that region altogether. And I mean, they've come too far. I don't know that was going to happen either. The ceasefire was great, although it's apparently now been broken too. And the exchange of the hostages for the prisoners was great. But that's now old news, and the countries are at it again. I don't know that Netanyahu was ever on board with this.
Well, again, it's an ongoing process, and so I think quote-unquote flare-ups are not unexpected, I guess, but it is a little disappointing that it was so quick. So I'm looking at an article right now from Al Jazeera, just posted 7 minutes ago, and said that Donald Trump threatened to eradicate Hamas if they're not good. Right?
Oh, no, he's made very clear that if Hamas doesn't come to the table and doesn't pay attention to this agreement, he'll do it for them. And, who knows what will happen there, because the Israelis were having a hard time getting to Hamas. I don't know how the U.S. is going to, and especially when Trump has said unequivocally there will be no boots on the ground in Gaza, U.S. troops, that is.
Yeah, that's right. So that's not the only flare-up right now. Let's talk about Russia and Ukraine. So this is one that's got to be, I think, a little frustrating for President Zelensky, because if you remember, President Trump met Putin in Alaska. It didn't go great. And then the next few weeks after that, he told reporters, or at least he posted on Truth Social, that he thought Ukraine could win the entire war, that they shouldn't have to give up any land. And then just recently, he had a 2-hour conversation with President Putin, and then the next day met with President Zelensky. So he had the conversation, I think, on Thursday, met with Zelensky on Friday, and came out of it saying, well, we think Ukraine just needs to give up the land that it's already lost.
Yeah, here's what he said from Air Force One.
Let it be cut the way it is. It's cut up right now. I think 78% of the land is already taken by Russia. You leave it the way it is right now. They can negotiate something later on down the line.
I don't see Ukraine ever biting off on letting Russia have 78% of their land.
Well, of the Donbass region, but Russia is not going to negotiate. I mean, I think they've proven that they are not reliable negotiating partners. And just last week, President Trump was at least hinting that he was considering selling long-range Tomahawk missiles, but then Russian President Putin called and asked for another summit, and so he said basically just keep the lines where they are right now. And, again, we've talked about this. Russia invaded a sovereign country. This is not the fault of Ukraine. This is Russia saying we are going to come in and we're going to take this. And now to say that this is a quote-unquote negotiation to give up land, that's not a negotiation.
And I misspoke, 78% of the Donbass region, which is significant. And it's, again, that's not something that Zelensky's going to say, okay, right, we'll call it even, you can have.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. And the EU is backing Zelensky, at least for the most part.
Right.
Okay, that's also not the only international story.
Yeah, so Colombia.
Country.
Yeah, Trump is cutting off aid to Colombia, calling its president a drug leader. Here's ABC's Nicole D'Antonio with the latest on that.
This morning, President Trump doubling down on his threat to Colombia.
They make drugs. They refine drugs. They make cocaine. They have cocaine factories. They have no fight against drugs.
Trump vowing to cut off U.S. aid to the country, accusing Colombian President Gustavo Petro of being an illegal drug leader. The threat comes on the heels of controversial airstrikes on several alleged drug boats in the Caribbean, including this one. The 7 strikes so far, killing 32 alleged traffickers. But Colombian officials say the U.S. also killed an innocent fisherman, violating international law. U.S. officials claim all of the vessels were cartel ships smuggling cocaine to the U.S., but even some Republicans question whether this use of deadly force is legal.
So all of these people have been blown up without us knowing their name, without any evidence of a crime.
That was Rand Paul, Senator Rand Paul.
Yeah, and it's really troubling to see. First of all, if they're drug smuggling, I can completely understand people wanting to be upset about that. But the lack of, I don't know, due process isn't the right word, but just, I mean, who are these people? What do we know about them? What's the intelligence on them? It's a fast boat coming from Colombia to the United States or something like that, and they're just blowing them out of the water. What did they say? 27 people are now killed.
Something there, like and there were a couple of survivors on one of the more recent strikes, and they're just repatriating them back home. They're not bringing them to the U.S. to make them stand trial. So that's an interesting development as well. But President Trump over the weekend announced additional tariffs on Colombia, the country, and an end to U.S. aid because the president pushed back and said, you can't keep killing our people.
And I think that the president taking these kind of extraordinary steps to cut off the importation of drugs from other countries is smart in some respects. I mean, you've still got to follow international law. But if Colombia is, in fact, this major exporter of cocaine, whatever else Trump and his administration claim is coming, first of all, I don't doubt that. I do believe there's a significant amount of drugs coming from some of these countries. We can only do so much from here. Maybe going to those countries and saying, look, if you don't start policing yourselves, we'll do it for you, will make some sense. I don't know.
Well, we're kind of doing that in Venezuela right now. I mean, it's, again, what's the proper role for U.S. intervention? Especially if we're tending to be America first, why are we that involved in foreign countries? I mean, it's a question. Right?
Yeah,
it's a question.
So we've got Israel and Hamas, we've got Ukraine and Russia, and now we've got Colombia, United States trying to be the world leader and trying to set the example and trying to resolve conflict in ways that are causing the administration some headache. And when we come back, could music be the missing ingredient in your recovery. We'll dive into new research showing how your favorite songs might help reduce pain and speed up healing after surgery. I actually believe that's probably true.
Me too.
We'll be back with more Inside Sources. Stay tuned with us on KSL News Radio. And remember, you can stream us on the KSL News Radio app, sponsored by At Your Service Pros.
11:30 at KSL News Radio. I'm Becky Bruce. KSL's top local story this hour. A community activist running for a seat on the Salt Lake City Council has far outpaced her competition in donations, mainly from out of state. KSL News Radio's Brianna Willis reports.
Erica Carlson is a Utah native, granddaughter of immigrants, and is running for Ballpark District 5 City Council. She has also raised over $99,000 in funds. Her campaign has apparently drawn attention from around the country as donations come from around the nation, from New York to California, although over half have come from California.
Her two other closest competitors, Amy Hawkins and Vance Hansen, have each raised just under $6,000, a much more typical amount for a city council race. Our top national story this hour from ABC News. It sounds like the plot of a Pink Panther movie, but it was all too real. People disguised as construction workers broke into the Louvre and made off with centuries-old jewels. ABC's James Longman is in Paris.
Police say the masked robbers drove up to the side of the museum in a truck mounted with a ladder described as a mobile freight elevator. Police say the lift was extended up to a second-floor window, which the thieves broke open using an angle grinder, a handheld power tool used for metalwork. From there, they're alleged to have threatened security guards before ransacking the Apollo Gallery, where Napoleon III's crown jewels were on display. Police say they tried to set fire to the lift they used before they fled. The raid lasted all of 7 minutes before they escaped on scooters.
Your money at this moment, the Dow, S&P 500, and NASDAQ are all up just over 1% at this hour. Coming up, the sun's out, but we're staying cool. KSL weather is next. KSL News Time, 11:31.
Mornings are for recharging.
And they're for starting your day right.
We volunteer to join you in the car. Get news and weather at 102.7 FM during the most important part of your day.
Andy and Amanda, each morning between 5 and 9 on KSL News Radio.
If you're ready to buy a home or sell a home and you're worried about the current real estate market because of what you've heard from some of your friends or family, well, we're here to tell you that you really shouldn't be worried, because now is a great time to buy and sell with our friends at the Stern Team, powered by Almada Real Estate.
And here's why. Buyers have more options due to increased inventory, which gives them the power to negotiate for repairs, interest rate buy-downs, and closing cost assistance. While at the same time, sellers are still getting top dollar for their homes, with home values that are higher today than ever before. So whether you're looking to buy or sell, the current real estate market presents a win-win opportunity for both buyers and sellers.
But you still do want to make sure that you're working with a team of real estate experts you can trust that can get you some great results. And that's our friends at the Stern Team, powered by Almada Real Estate.
They have helped thousands of Salt Lake City homeowners, and they're ready to help you. To get started, just go to thesternteam.com. That's thesternteam.com, or Google The Stern Team.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm.
Hi, I'm Chuck McDowell, the timeshare cancellation guy. In 2011, I founded Wesley Financial Group with one goal in mind: to help honest folks out of their timeshares permanently. Today, I run Wesley with my two sons, a real family business, treating every client and every employee like we'd want our own family treated. That philosophy has helped us grow into the largest, most trusted timeshare cancellation company in the United States. Fortune magazine even recognized us as one of the best places to work. Why? Because we genuinely care. In fact, some of our former clients were so moved by their experience working with us, they joined our team so they could help others to timeshare freedom. If you're stuck in a timeshare, give us a call. Let our family help your family.
Call Wesley now for your free timeshare exit kit. 800-549-8866. 800-549-8866. 800-549-8866.
Hey Utah, think about the water in your home. Is it as good as it could be? Hi, this is the water boy, Colson Firmage, a third-generation Culligan man. Here at Culligan, our roots run deep. My grandfather started with Culligan over 5 decades ago, and that commitment to quality and service is stronger than ever. We understand Utah water, and we have the top-rated water filtration technology to make a real difference in your daily life. Imagine softer skin, longer-lasting appliances, and water that tastes truly refreshing. That's the Culligan promise. Maybe you're wondering about your current water system. Does it even work? We're offering free water tests for all makes and models. Just call us at 801-509-9602 or visit us online at culliganslc.com to schedule your free water test. And for a limited time, you can experience the Culligan difference and save. Receive $1,000 off a new Culligan water filtration system, plus enjoy the convenience of free salt delivery for a full year. Call 801-509-9602 or online at culliganslc.com. Culligan, water you'll love.
Traffic and weather together brought to you by Mountain America. Turn everyday spending into an extraordinary escape. Let's check in with Tito Nani.
Good speeds and no delays on all Valley freeways at this hour. However, we do have a small accident. It's on northbound I-215 west at 800 south in Salt Lake. It is off to the right shoulder and out of traffic, so there should be no effect on your commute. Don't miss the Rocky Mountain Gun Show, October 25th and 26th at the Legacy Event Center in Farmington. Get 500 rounds of 9mm ammo for just $85. Tito Nani in the KSL Traffic Center.
Mostly sunny today, but we won't get out of the 50s. 40s overnight. Tomorrow, more sunshine and a high of 61. Right now, it's sunny and 52 degrees. I'm Becky Bruce from the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Listen online at kslnewsradio.com. We're Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
The all-new Inside Sources. Your inside access to the people and policies shaping Utah's future. Here are Greg Skordas and Holly Richardson on KSL News Radio.
Everybody hurts sometimes, and our medical community is starting to recognize that maybe music can be more than just soothing for the soul. It can actually help the body, and music could potentially be a method of pain relief. Scientists are exploring how melodies and rhythms can reduce pain, calm anxiety, and even influence how quickly we bounce back after surgery. I actually believe that.
Oh, yeah. And, I'm looking at an Associated Press article. I think there are several others. But one of the things that's interesting to me is as a midwife, when I was helping women in labor, a lot of them would use music. And most of them chose really, I would say, not super rapid tempo or anything. It's kind of the more new agey, slower songs. But there were some who picked songs that was like, wow, I would not have considered that relaxing. But this article right here says one of the keys is that the people who are using music to help them heal have to choose their own songs.
Yeah, I was going to say what might be painful for one person might be pleasurable for another. Right. And as REM singing "Everybody Hurts" might not be the most soothing, but to me that's music that I would absolutely want to hear if I was suffering from some significant pain in a hospital and I had the option of listening to certain music that but other people might think it was distracting.
Yeah, it's interesting. So there's some information. Of course, the healing power of music is probably known for all cultures across all time, right? Because every culture has had music. But science is starting to actually look at how and why. So there's a couple of recent studies published in a journal called Pain, and scientific reports that actually say that people who are experiencing pain but listening to music, it either can reduce the perception of pain or it actually enhances a person's ability to tolerate it. And that would probably come from raising endorphins.
And pain relief is a huge part of the medical community's problem. And of course, you come out with these wonder drugs one year and you decide, OxyContin or fentanyl or something else is a great relief for pain, but the problems that it causes on the other end are more significant for some people than the pain itself. I mean, you just can't manage pain all the time. And pain is such it's a subjective thing anyway. Well, doctors really have a hard time struggling with how to deal with pain relief.
It's interesting, and it's also a little bit complex, right? Because you can have two people with the same condition who are going to have totally different levels of pain. And part of it is the way your brain translates or interprets the signals. There are people who have, I don't know if it's nerve damage, but there are people who cannot interpret pain. And you would think that might be a good thing. They don't feel pain. It's not a good thing because they can't keep themselves safe and from getting hurt.
I was listening to a study on a podcast recently about a condition that you suffer from, and that is migraines,
Mm-hmm.
and the fact that doctors historically haven't taken that as seriously as maybe they could have, because again, hey, it's a headache, take an aspirin. You know what I
Right.
mean? And I've never suffered from a migraine. I've never had one. I don't even want to know what it's like. But I know friends and family, including you, who have had those, and they're debilitating. I
They
mean,
can
I've
be.
got a friend
Oh, yeah.
he just checks out.
They can be excruciating, right? And so some of it is, how do you believe people when they describe pain, right? We do have a texter say that when they went in for their procedure, the doctor said, we can't do surgery without tunes, and then proceeded to listen to Yellow Card and punk rock, as well as other songs that they listened to while they were in high school, and they did not get to share their own input. So that doc was not doing it quite right.
That reminds me, when my son, who's an orthopedic surgeon, was deployed to South Korea, he was a doctor there, and he was in this he was in the operating room, and he invited me in one day and said, I want you to come glove up and watch. Don't touch anything and stay out of the
Don't
way.
touch.
But he had music playing the entire time.
Mhm.
He had like a list,
Yeah.
and I guess he does it all the time. Now, that's not necessarily for the patient, but it could very well be,
Mhm.
even though they're out. But his staff and the people that are dealing with their own sort of suffering, because let's face it, they're cutting someone open, they're dealing with blood, they're dealing with what would normally be pain, but for the anesthetic, that I thought it was a huge distractor for them as well, and I think it made the surgery go a lot smoother for everyone.
So there's some interesting research too that they talk about in this Associated Press article, that the idea of using recorded music to lessen pain with dental surgery began in the late 19th century, before local anesthetics were available. But today, there was a study that looked at 5 different genres of music. So they looked at classical, rock, pop, urban, and electronic. And what they found was that all music helped, but there wasn't one single winning genre.
Yeah, and I think it's in the eyes of the beholder, because I know when
the ears of the
ears of the beholder, right? Oh, by the way, if you want to share your favorite song for pain relief, text us at 57500. We've only got a couple of minutes left, but I know that when I turn up the Ozzy Osbourne, it does not relieve any pain for my wife. And she'll always say, "Turn that darn thing down."
So you have a clip I want to hear from Pink Floyd.
Oh, this is my go-to song when I'm feeling pain. Yeah, because it's only pain you are receiving. Here we go. You have to say, comfortably numb. That's how I want to be when I'm having pain. That's how I want to be when I go see the doctor. But I've become comfortably numb.
So this is an admission from Holly, and not a bad one, but I do a lot of medical procedures without pain medication, including dental work. I've even had root canals done without pain medication. Medication, and I have not used music, which is interesting because I probably should. I've used like deep breathing and like transporting myself to a different place, and then like doing a countdown because I know it's not going to hurt for very long.
I went to a dentist for a while who gave you headphones and let you pick the station.
Yeah.
My current dentist is a yacker. He's one of those. He would not do that because he wants to talk to you the whole time.
But how do you do that with stuff in your mouth?
I know,
right?
but he doesn't stop this guy, and I love him. He's the best. But he there's some music playing in the background, and every once in a while he'll even play this show because he tells me he listens to it. So
Okay, so that actually leads right into one other point. People did look at some research looking at comparing music more than listening to podcasts. Podcasts not as good as music. So we do have one texter who said they really like Satellite by the Dave Matthews Band.
There you go.
So our podcast, I don't know. Maybe it doesn't help numb you out.
I think this was our producer's song. I don't know. Oh, there you go. Yeah. This is one you think of a lot when you only time. Yeah. I mean,
Enya's great to be in labor by.
Seriously.
Yeah.
Well,
so's Johnny.
Music can help with healing, and I think that that's a good study, and anything that can get us away from our abuse of opioids in this country is something I'm very much in favor of. I'm also in favor of the rivalry game between Utah
was
and
so
BYU,
fun.
except that Utah is 0-3 in the last 3 years. Come on, Ute, step it up. The rivalry game between BYU and Utah came and went. BYU took home the win. We'll recap the game time experience and what comes next for both teams, plus Holly's facts, which I want to spend more time on than that.
The rivalry.
We'll be right back.
Cooler weather. What a relief. Unless you have old drafty windows. Soon the heat will escape through the cracks and your energy bill's going to go through the roof. So now's the time to call Advanced Window Products and get brand new state-of-the-art custom windows and frames at factory direct pricing. The factory is right here in Salt Lake City, where they've been building precision windows since 1986, and you're going to save a lot of money since there's no middleman markup. You save 30, even 40% on your new windows. Even better, call now and they'll give you an extra $2,500 off on 10 windows or more. Double pane argon-filled windows with a low-energy triple coating, any style, any color, and Advanced Windows gives you a lifetime warranty. If you have an issue, they're not 10 states away. They're right here in town, and they offer 0% 60-month financing. So make the call now. Get $2,500 off. 801-850-9100. That's 801-850-9100, or go to advancedwindows.com.
At Fisher Investments, we may seem like other money managers, but we're different.
What makes you so different than the rest of us?
We ensure clients receive unparalleled service at every step of the relationship.
Tell me more.
Our investment counselors focus on service over sales, prioritizing clients' needs.
How do you make money?
We don't sell any commission-based products. We have a simple management fee based on the value of our clients' portfolio. So we do better when our clients do better.
What about client portfolios?
We get to know each client, their finances, family, health, lifestyle, and more, and then we tailor a portfolio based on their specific goals and needs.
Your clients really come first then, huh?
Yes, we make them a top priority. Our goal is helping them achieve a comfortable retirement.
Wow, maybe we are different.
At Fisher Investments, we're clearly different. Learn more at FisherInvestments.com.
Investing in securities involves the risk of loss.
With all the uncertainty in the world today, it's imperative to share an act of kindness. There's no better act of kindness than donating 30 minutes of time to ARUP Blood Services. Your blood donation is guaranteed to help a neighbor, friend, family member, or someone in need at our local hospitals. ARUP Blood Services has 2 convenient locations. Be a beacon of hope and change someone's life at ARUP. Walk-ins welcome in Sandy and Research Park. Visit utahblood.org. That's utahblood.org.
If you are facing divorce, call Cordell and Cordell today.
There's a lot on the line in divorce. This is Joe Cordell of Cordell & Cordell, the largest family law firm in the country, with over 35 years of helping clients navigate divorce. Divorce touches all areas of your life: your home, savings, retirement, and of course, kids. So when you find yourself facing divorce, you need a partner you can count on.
If you are facing divorce, contact Cordell and Cordell today at 1-855-GET-LEGAL. That's 1-855-GET-LEGAL. CordellCordell.com.
This is Derek Miller speaking on business. The Road Home has been serving the Utah community for over 100 years, helping people step out of homelessness and back into the local community with dignity and support. Marketing specialist Rachel Felton joins us with more.
At the Road Home, we're not just offering shelter. We're helping people rebuild their lives. From signing a lease to providing long-term support, our team walks alongside individuals and families as they move from crisis to stability. Each night, we serve around 1,200 people, including over 200 children. Our programs provide personalized case management, connections to vital resources, and supportive services designed to create lasting change. Last year alone, the Road Home served 7,300 people, including nearly 1,000 children, in all of our programs. It's all about dignity, respect, and creating real pathways out of homelessness. Every day, we're helping people take their next step, whether that's finding a safe place to sleep, securing permanent housing, or simply having someone in their corner. To learn more about our programs, impact, and how you can support, visit theroadhome.org.
The Road Home partners with communities to create lasting solutions to homelessness. From housing support to essential resources, their work strengthens families, restores hope, and helps build stronger neighborhoods where everyone has the chance to thrive. I'm Derek Miller with the Salt Lake Chamber, speaking on business.
Need to replace your Social Security card? In most states, you can request one online with a My Social Security account.
A My Social Security account gives you secure access to your personal earnings history and benefit status. You can also get a proof of income letter, estimate and apply for benefits, and more. Save time. Go online. Open a My Social Security account at ssa.gov/myaccount. Social Security. Securing today and tomorrow.
Produced at U.S. taxpayer expense.
Getting help with electrical repairs is easier than you think. All you have to do is call Any Hour Services or schedule an appointment at anyhourservices.com. No one helps more homeowners than Any Hour Services.
Inside Sources.
So, Holly, I'm dealing with some pain today, and it's the pain that a Ute fan gets when their team loses for a third year in a row to nationally ranked BYU. And some of our listeners have actually given some tips on pain relief musically. Any of those going to help me today?
I don't know about that. So one texter says listening to music is great, but music therapy in a hospital setting is even better. Only Huntsman and primaries offer it right now, but more should. One says, I don't process pain like other people. I can have minor dental work without Novocaine. Nearly cost me my life, and then had a ruptured appendix and a perforated bowel and thought it was just the flu. So different people have different things. And then one other one says, I've done sensory deprivation in a float spa, and the spa that I go to has your choice of music. There's a lot to be said about the healing properties of music. But I don't know. I will tell you, you should play the Cougar fight song, and then maybe that would make you feel better.
Yeah, that'll make me feel a whole lot better. So we're learning today BYU Cougars are now ranked 11th in the latest AP poll. I think they were 15th or something going into the game. Utah was 23rd. They're no longer ranked. They're one of those also getting votes. The Cougars moved up to number 10 in the coaches poll. They're a top 10 team. And actually, if you look at the Division I football teams that have no losses, there are only like 3 or 4.
Yeah, there's just a handful.
BYU should actually be up a little bit higher. Head coach Kalani Sitake told reporters that they have to find a way to refocus on their next opponent after the rivalry game just took a lot of energy out of them.
Last year we won this game and we didn't win the next one, and the same thing happened to Utah. So as emotional and as excited we are to win this game, I got 9 a.m. church tomorrow, so I got to be there, and so we got to put this one away and then move on and find ways to stay humble, stay hungry, and get ready for the next week, because this does take a lot out of you, but we've got to find a way to perform at our best next week.
BYU is playing at a subpar Iowa State next Saturday afternoon. They should be okay. I think the Utes are playing Colorado.
Yeah, look, I have to tell you, I did watch the game. So we watched it from home. We actually paid to get the game so that we could watch it, and it was a really, really fun game to watch. So it wasn't like a total blowout, which sometimes can be boring, right? But it was back and forth, and Bear Bachmeier is just really phenomenal for this young kid. But one of the things that was really fun for me to see is that BYU president Shane Reese was crowd surfing down on the field afterwards, right?
Good for him. He was a guest with us last week.
He was. In fact, both university presidents were on last week, and they both predicted a win for their university. But what I thought was interesting is President Taylor Randall from the U said he thought that the score would be 1 field goal difference, which in fact it was, but he got the wrong team.
When you mentioned field goals, the Utes were stopped, I think, 4 times on 4th down, and 3 of those they were in field goal range. All they had to do was hit one. Utes, come on,
well, now
one
you can
field goal, and you could have
quarterback.
been there. And so you look about what's ahead for the Utes. Former Ute linebacker and current KSL sports analyst Sly Sylvester said the Utes need to put that game behind them because they still have a lot to play for. I'm not buying it, but here's what he had to say.
You still have an opportunity to have a 10-win season. Just win out. These are winnable games, I feel like, here at the end of the season. I know Cincinnati's undefeated in conference, but look, 3 years ago, we were in a bad spot in the conference, and everything worked out to make us go to the Pac-12 championship game, right? So you have no idea what's going to happen. What you can control is these opponents here. You got a game next week against a very good Colorado team. You get a bye week. You go against Cincinnati, Baylor, Kansas State. Finish the season, finish the drill, finish the job. You get an opportunity to kick somebody's butt, take out your frustrations from the BYU game on them, and pray that, things will happen in your favor.
So they have only lost 2 games this season, so they still have a very good record also. Look, I have to go back to the crowd surfing, though, with President Reese because they were all down on the field. So people were like, of course, jumping over the edges, and it was just a swarm of blue down on the field. Well, there's a fine that comes with that, and I think I read it's $50,000, but there was somebody who stepped up to pay it. Do you know who that was?
It was the Crumble Cookie.
Yeah, the Crumble Cookie owner. So he's like, look, they should be able to have a party, and I'll pay the fine, and he's going to do that. So
Good for him. I'm happy that Sly Sylvester said what he did about, hey, we put this behind us, and maybe we can go to 10-2. I mean, I don't know. This is a game that's so significant that you almost feel like if you beat BYU and you finish the year 2-10, maybe that's better than losing and finish the season 10.
That's how much the rivalry can get in your head, right? But I thought Coach Sataki said, "Look, last year we were so hyped up for the rivalry game, then we went out and lost the next one, so we can't do that this year."
Right, and the Utes are hosting Colorado this weekend at Rice-Eccles Stadium, so they have a home game. BYU's on the road. I don't think Utah's going to be playing for the Big 12 championship with 2 losses already to I think Texas Tech and now BYU. But we'll see. Best of luck to keep them going and try to finish strong and get to a bowl game.
Right. Okay. Now I have some fun facts for you.
Okay.
So on this day, which was October 20th, 1803, the U.S. Senate ratified the Louisiana Purchase. So if you remember, the sale of Louisiana was the U.S. buying territory from France. And I think it was negotiated by Thomas Jefferson, if I remember correctly. It was $15 million, which is that's a fair amount of money, right? They acquired a total of 828,000 square miles, which is now, of course, in the central United States.
You forget about that. The Louisiana Purchase, of course.
The Louisiana Purchase, 1803. It was ratified. Okay. Also on this day, in 1964, Kamala Harris was born. So happy birthday to Kamala.
She's younger than I am.
She's only a couple of months older than me, actually, almost 2 months exactly. So this one was interesting. Do you remember Muammar Gaddafi?
Oh, yes.
He died on this day in 2011. It's already been 14 years, which is wild to me.
And he not with any great dignity. I remember that being just an awful situation.
Yeah, it was awful.
Him hiding out in a
in the ground or something
like that.
Yeah,
and then he was not very popular at that time.
Right. So this one is also interesting. We like to talk about when was the New World settled, meaning North and South America, really, right? So when was this settled? Well, it was not in 1492 when Columbus sailed the ocean blue. In 2021, they already knew about the settlement, but there was a Viking settlement up in Canada, in Newfoundland, where they were able to use some new dating techniques using solar storms. So in 2021, they confirmed that the Viking settlement at L'Anse-aux-Meadows in Newfoundland was established in the year 1021. So almost exactly 1,000 years ago.
The Vikings came to North America?
Yes, they did. Yes, they did.
What'd
and there
they
are
do?
settlements.
Where'd they go?
They lived up in Canada. They have settlements. They contributed DNA to the people who were not only in Europe but in North America as well.
And that was 1,000, or at least.
Well, they confirmed. They were able to
years
confirm it.
Columbus came.
That's right.
And 1,000 years. Wow.
1,000 years from now.
That's interesting. I mean, we talk about the settlement of this continent and North and South America, and of course we go back to the whole. Even when the settlers came here, there were
people who lived here.
People who had been here for quite a while and were doing just fine.
Yeah. So those are some of the fun facts of the day, and then you know that I'm a Lord of the Rings fan, and I had to see the movies before I read the books, but. On this day in 1955, the third and final volume, The Return of the King, was published by J.R.R. Tolkien. J.R.R.
When you say you like Lord of the Rings, does that mean you've read the books?
Yep.
Now, this is a dumb question, but I've asked a few today. Was there a movie, Lord of the Rings, yet?
Yes.
Oh, what's it called?
Lord of the Rings.
Oh, okay. And
it's a trilogy. It's Peter Jackson's production of the Lord of the Rings and the trilogy, and those were there. I had to see the first movie. Which was Fellowship of the Ring. I had to see that before I could dive into the books. And then once I did, it was like, oh my gosh, these are so good.
What's your interest in that book? What do you like about it?
I just love the whole story of just, first of all, that it's really long. It takes a long time to tell the story. That part's fun. And I love the triumph of good over evil, and that they don't the books don't shy away from sometimes things are really hard and we don't know why we're asked to step up at certain times. But anyway, I just thought they were really great.
Well, the triumph of good over evil happened at Lavelle Edwards Stadium on Saturday night.
You're going to get yourself in trouble for that one.
Myself in trouble, but I was diagnosed